welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You're gathered with us this fine Saturday morning for the Winner's Circle.
Yes, another Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel, bright and early, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. I wish I could show you guys it is literally still dark out here on this side of the country. The sun has not even come up, and we are here to talk wrestling. We're still waiting on Anika. In the meantime, to tell me who won the tag team championships on SmackDown last night. Who are our new tag team champions?
DIY.
DIY. All right. Sounds cool. I mean, I like DIY. It took me a while to get. The problem is that there's so many tag teams I like one guy and not the other. I love Tommaso Ciampa. I'm not the biggest fan of um Johnny Gargano.
I think
So,
you would be after last night.
huh?
I think you would be after last night.
What did you do last night? What did Gargano do last night?
We got the return of heel Gargano.
Ah, so they're heel champions.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I feel like Tommaso Ciampa turned like 3 weeks ago. This week,
Okay.
we finally got the return of heel Gargano, though.
Nice. I do like heel Champa better than face Champa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess heel Gargano's definitely a little bit better than face Gargano. He's still Johnny, but it is what it is. I mean, as a tag team, I really enjoy them, so that's cool. So that's good. Anything else of importance happen on SmackDown?
Uh, Quite a few injuries were made known from the War Games match. Um,
Miss Anika,
Bronson Reed's injured. Jimmy
I saw that his
Uso's
ankle
injured.
snapped doing the tsunami. They
Daggone
showed like
it.
when he came down, his ankle just like exploded. Like, oh shit!
And Tonga Loa's injured.
Oh, what happened to him? I didn't see that. I missed that
Uh,
one.
I believe it was a bicep tear.
Ooh, all of these in war games. All these war games related injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Right?
And
What's on Reed?
in non-wrestling related news, I really hope the Lions win their game next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything? I was asking Jimmy. Anything in note from SmackDown? We were talking about DIY as the new tag team champions, and then he mentioned that there was a lot of talk of injury fallout from war games.
Yeah. And then of course the whole feud with Cody and KO Saturday night main event. I am actually excited about that a little bit.
They're also
Yeah, I mean,
heating up the U.S. Championship.
that Saturday night's main event is getting pretty loaded as far as WWE goes. We're going to get Seth and Punk there, which not that I care about that match, but I mean, there are people that do. And now it sounds like Cody
We
and
are
KO are
getting
going to be
Seth
there.
and Punk.
I think so. I thought that was what came out on Monday night. Isn't that the?
So
I know we got Finn and Gunther.
nothing was announced just yet. Nothing was announced just yet for Punk and Gunther. He said that's what he wanted to do, but nothing was announced.
Okay,
we're
that's
getting
right.
Finn and Gunther.
Yeah, we're getting Finn and Gunther, I thought, for sure. And then I thought we were getting Seth and Punk, but maybe I'm jumping the gun on that. Anything else from SmackDown or from War Games we want to talk about before we crack into Monday Night Raw, the show after War Games, or no? All right.
I haven't seen War Games yet, so yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So Monday Night Raw from this Monday, Mr. Sammy Joe, take it away.
So CM Punk kicked off the show, and he got interrupted by Seth Rollins, and they had a kerfuffle, and it got picked up between Sammy Uso and Jey Uso.
Yeah.
So
You know. But
look how you just sums up stuff. So yeah, he came into the arena. He gave his brother teammates in War Games a good handshake. And I'm not an indie person, but evidently, you know, the Punk reputation has not started since 2022. It actually started back in the indies. So him and Sami Zayn shaking hands. It was real cool. And then, like you said, he goes to the arena and he announces what he wants to do. Or he's like,
different ways you can finish your story.
Yeah, and he was basically like, I've cleared all my
roads
demons,
one place,
and I want championship gold. And then Seth wants to be like, no, we still have plans. And CM Punk was like, sir, I don't even know how you're feuding with me anymore. I don't think about you anymore. You're not the champ. You have nothing I want. And evidently, Seth did not like this. And that's when the kerfuffle happened, which was hilarious. This was good.
You spent the last 6 months thinking about me. I don't think about you at all.
This was a good way to start off Raw. It's definitely a good way to start off Raw.
I mean, you know, I'm irritated anytime I see CM Punk, but it is what it is. I mean, he was solid here, so you can only complain so much. It's just the fact that he irritates me as a person, but he was fine here. You know, that being said, I don't really care about him and Seth. I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, I understand from a booking perspective, they're two of your bigger stars on your roster, so putting them together, you know, I understand that. I get it. It just doesn't move the needle a whole lot for me. But again, I thought this was a good opening segment. I thought it was solid. I love Sami Zayn, so I'm always here for any time he's on TV and involved in anything. So,
and we got the announcement of Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins.
So that was kind of like the second half of this opening, where they're like CM Punk and Seth are fighting, and Jay and Sammy comes to break it up. And that's when Seth wants to get off in his feelings, talking about, I get why Jay, it's like, go on, Jay, go out to girl. It's like, because Sammy was like, pump your brakes. You can get mad at CM Punk, but you ain't gonna get mad at Jey Uso like that. And he was like, you know what? I'm sorry. It's the heat of the moment. Now look, I know Jay and Roman are family. What's your excuse? And it's like, I'm sorry, have you not been here for the past couple of months? He's Sammy Uso. And so eventually that's when the crowd was chanting, Sammy Uso. Like, no, they're not related blood.
Right.
And then that's when Seth and Sammy gets into it. It's like, bruh, and then Sammy was like, I didn't want Roman. I wanted you. I'm just not sorry, Roman. I didn't want CM Punk. I wanted you. I asked you like 5 freaking times, and you didn't. And you said no once. What was I supposed to do? I didn't want CM Punk, but we need a 5th man. And unlike you, and you being stubborn, I put aside my differences and team with the guy. But let's be very clear. I wanted you. And then Seth was like, well, what? Like, what? So, like, real talk. You realize you want me to tag with Roman? Roman, we've been feeding with this dude, but well, Seth more so 2 years. He wasn't really there when the bloodline formed. So I'm going to say 2 years.
Then Sami Zayn hit him back with that monster, Roman Reigns. You created that monster. You created that monster 10 years ago when you put a chair under his back.
Facts. All facts. And then Petty Steph.
It was like, I'm not the only one who put a chair through his back.
He's like, and he tried to smooth it over. But hey, you did it for the right reasons. I'm not mad at you for it. It's just you keep going back to this monster, and this monster hasn't changed. Hey, you said, had he apologized to you? Had apologized to Jay? No. And so right now, you're being real naive. No, I'll say it's stupid. It's like, hold up. Wait, time out.
My stubbornness isn't the problem. It's your naivety.
It's like, again, don't know what your problem is, because CM Punk don't want Joe behind no more. Now you just want to spew all your little negativity all over the place. And so it was like, well, you know what? Since you all being bad right now, how about we fight? Like, all right, bet. I like when fights happen like that, where it's just like, you know what? Since you feel all big and bad, let's fight. All right, bet. And so that's how our main event developed, and I loved every little minute of this.
I mean,
Even
Seth
though-
came down with a bad attitude. He wanted to fight from the beginning. So I mean, he was there.
Right.
He was just pissy to begin with. So
That's how
Sami
then,
Zayn
like,
just happened to be there. It wasn't.
Right.
I mean, he showed up, but you know what I mean.
right. No. Sometimes it's a bad time, bad situation. You know, and it's like, but it really is like, sir, even though for like, oh right, Seth had a point. No. Yeah. So let's go. We're gonna go back down memory lane just a little bit. 2023, and Sami put the chair into Roman's back. Let's be very, very clear. Roman did nothing wrong to Sami. You are in a gang. No. Let me finish. You are in a gang. Your gang is attacking KO. They told you to hit KO with a chair. And what did you want to do? You want to hit Roman with a chair. I don't know what you thought this was, Sami. But no, you're in a gang. And in a gang, you hit people with chairs. And now you want to you were going to your ex-best friend because, they're hitting him too hard. Oh, my goodness.
brother.
Wait a second. Yeah, wait a second. Yeah. If you're in the gang, you're 18, 19, 20, you're in the gang, but you got a 17-year-old brother who's not necessarily in the gang. He's maybe peripheral, maybe not even involved, maybe he's a good student, whatever. Now, all of a sudden, your gang wants to beat up on him and wants you to help too. The least you could do is even protect your brother, but you're sure not going to pile on your little brother and give it to him too, right? This is not a little puppet situation.
There's a gang in South America that the initiation for joining the gang is killing your brother.
But this is kayfabe wrestling.
Yeah. I just thought I'd compare it to a real life gang.
So, but no, what you call it? But number one, that's your brother, that's your friend. Y'all didn't grow up together. Y'all met when y'all wanted to be wrestling people, and that's when y'all want to be best friends. Number one. Number two is KO been antagonizing Roman since 2022. He's the one that went after Roman. It wasn't like Roman was picking fights for people. He's the one who wanted to fight Roman. So let's not mince freaking words.
Let's also be like for real. As close as the two are, they're not like Edge and Christian close. They haven't known each other since they were like 9 or nothing. It's not like they grew up and they were each other's only friends.
And then Sami, and then Seth will come back to him out. You're my brother, Indies. I'm like, sir, how many people in the Indies have you not talked to in the past? I don't know how many freaking years. But because we spent how many years in Ring of Honor? What is that many years together? You bounce. You bounce.
What is the amount of time you have to be best friends with someone before you consider them a brother? That's acceptable to call them a brother. Like, I mean, how close do you have to be? I mean, what defines that closeness?
You gotta have at least 3 Christmases together. At least 3 Christmases. Definitely every birthday, unless you're married. Yeah, yes. To be from friend to brother, yes. 3 Christmases, definitely every birthday, unless you was married, you was spending with your wife, and you have to keep a deep dark secret.
Oh. I guess I don't have one. I guess I don't have one best friend in the world. I mean, my oldest best friend that I've been friends with since 13. I've never spent a Christmas at his house or with his family like that. I mean, He's never been to my house for Christmas. I mean, maybe a couple days after, it's like, hey, what's up or whatever, but not on Christmas Day. Like, no, we don't do that.
Do y'all celebrate Christmas?
Yeah, I do. He does absolutely. Okay. We wish each other a Merry Christmas. We text each other or whatever, say Merry Christmas, but like, not. I mean, when we were kids, we were, obviously not because I went to our own families, but like, no, I mean, I don't. And we even have kids that are the same age roughly, and we still don't even. We've never been there. We've had Thanksgiving together, so that's not true. We have been to their house for Thanksgiving a couple times. I'm not gonna lie, and they've been to our house for Thanksgiving. Cool. So, we spent holidays. I guess we have spent holidays together over the years, but never Christmas.
Significant holidays: Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Deep dark secret. That's an interesting one. I'm trying to think if I.
Like okay, wait. When I say deep dark secret, this is like that code of brotherhood. Don't tell your wife. Either reverse that on both sides. Don't tell your wife. I won't tell my wife. That's a deep whatever secret continues to that point. Yes.
All right.
I spend the holidays with my family, not with my friends.
Friends,
Yeah.
not brothers. See, you just say brother. You just said your friend. I rest my case.
Again, it's all subjective. I mean, it's all how you view people. I'll call someone brother after a day, like a Hulky style brother. What's up, brother? Like, I mean, I don't really care. I mean, as long as we, whatever. I mean, I don't necessarily think of you that way. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I have met people, and within 6 months to a year, we've become very, very close. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. I have friends that I've only been friends with for like 5 years, and I consider now. I have multiple best friends, and I consider kind of in that best friend bracket. I mean, so.
Me and a
Just
buddy,
depends
we
on.
call each other brother, but
I'm
I mean, I
close
think it
off.
just
I'm a
depends
loner.
on how much you have in common and how, all those kinds of things. I mean, I don't know.
I'm closed
But
off. I'm a
needless to say,
loner. I don't like people.
needless to say, this was a good opening segment for this episode of Raw. I thought it was solid for what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people on there I don't really care about. Here's my one question. It feels like we're all a little tired of Seth Rollins just in general. Is what at this point can he do? Does he need to pivot and change from wearing the dumb outfits and being, I guess, is he
Yes.
still technically the visionary? Is that what he is still at this moment in time? Like,
yeah.
do we need a repackaging? Does he need to leave WWE and go somewhere else and do something else?
I
Is
think
there a chance of that?
just turn heel. Like
Okay.
what you're doing right now, you're not a baby face. You're not a baby face, sir.
You can't do that, Anika.
Why not?
He's already booked as a heel.
In whose eyes?
In the script. In the
In this-
writing. He's been written as a
beg to
heel
differ.
for the longest time.
So the visionary is a heel?
I beg to differ.
From the concept, I believe he was. It's just the fans cheer him.
But he's also going against heels. That also makes him a baby face. Where he's not going against any fan favorites until he gets to CM Punk.
He faced Sammy Uso tonight.
So I think this is the first. So besides tonight, he's been going against other heels.
He's been feuding with Bronson Reed, and he's a heel.
Yeah. So I think when he faced Sammy, I think they're kind of testing the waters of, okay, let's say we're going to commit to Punk versus Steph, even though I don't think you should do that because I'm tired of it. Who would be? I think they're leaning towards Punk being the babyface in that program if we're still committed to doing that.
I almost think it feels like we're at a time in wrestling where the lines have been blurred more than ever before between heels and faces.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's way more tweeners than there ever have been before, which is fine. I mean, listen, we all believe and love the characters that are most authentic to real life, right? And in real life, we're all a little bit of mix of both. At times we're nice guys, at times we're not, and it just depends on what's going on, the situation, all those kinds of things. We're complex, or not just always one or the other. So those shades of gray, that contrast, that dynamic, it works well and it plays well. Not only that, but for soap opera stuff, it plays well as well. I mean, it's not quite so defined. People are a little bit more murky. It's a little bit more mysterious. You are asking the question, what is this person up to? What's going on? Those kind of things. And so I think it makes it a little bit more dramatic too. So,
like, I don't think there's anything that they can do to make him a quote unquote heel.
Seth.
I think there's nothing that they can do. No matter what they have Seth do, it's just gonna be like, that's Seth.
You think he ever leaves WWE?
I mean, maybe if he burns down an orphanage, but less than that, it's not going to be a for sure. Is he a heel? Is he a tweener? Is he a face? Unless he burns down an orphanage, I don't think there's anything that they can do.
I beg to differ.
And even then, you'd probably have a few fans defending the burning down of the orphanage of how that's a good thing.
You think he ever leaves WWE?
No.
No. How old is he doing?
I think he will eventually.
Yeah.
I think
I think he's a
Roman
lifer.
staying. I think Roman is a lifer. I think Seth will venture out eventually.
I don't know. No, because I think you're forgetting 2021 and that freaking Twitter battle where he was just going ham on people from AEW and how good WWE is. And like, sir.
Who did he go ham on? Because all I remember is Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay wasn't in AEW.
No. He was definitely defending WWE on social media to the point where everybody was like, bruh, turn off your freaking phone, bruh. Like, you are on Twitter way too much.
But the only person I remember him defending it against was Will Ospreay, who was New Japan.
Either way, when you're defending WWE like that, I don't think your eyes are towards anything else. And yeah.
Even if you're only responding to one person, if it's on social media where you've got millions of people watching it and reading it, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's directed at one person or not.
But I think that's a match we're going to get. And I think we're also going to get a Jon Moxley, Tyler Black match before it's all said and done, too.
So, do either of you know when his contract is up or what his contract
I think he signed
like?
a new one.
I think he's got a new one, too.
I mean, I just Googled it. He's 38. So, I mean, if I imagine if he's going to do something like that, I mean, to be fair, even though we talk terrible about him, I mean, Chris Jericho's 55 and still doing it. So I guess it is what it is. But I mean, at 38, it feels to me like if you're going to do it, you should do it, right? I mean, like, especially, well, because I want to see it at a high level. I want to see it while he's still at a high level. I don't want to see him do it in 7 years when he's 45 and slowed down a lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see him go over and wrestle Ospreay now, wrestle MJF now, wrestle, those guys, all those guys now that,
45 is not that
in
old.
his prime.
Like, Shinsuke Nakamura is 45. Like, Finn Balor is like 44. Damian Priest is like 43. LA Knight's like 43. Like, the mid-40s aren't as old as they used to feel.
I guess it really depends on how much mileage you have as well. Like, I think Seth's been doing it since his 20s. I think with Damian Priest, he definitely started later. So that's
I don't know if I'd say later. It's just we didn't know him.
Like, I know he was in Ring of Honor, but like over 10, had he done over 10 years of wrestling? Damian Priest? I don't think
Google it for you.
Sure. Or LA Knight. Now, LA Knight might have done 20 years because I remember him in TNA, but that definitely doesn't feel like 20 years.
Damian Priest, 20 years. He started in his early 20s.
In Ring of Honor or where?
Oh, he was trained in the Monster Factory, but it says his debut was March 25th, 2005. You want to know where he debuted too? Okay, give me a moment.
Very, very rarely are you going to see guys on the AEW main roster on a Dynamite or on a Raw or a SmackDown that haven't put in the work and been in the business for a long time. You might, we might not know who they are. We might not have seen them, but they've been around doing whatever. That's how, I mean, don't get me wrong. They do open tryouts sometimes. They do take some athletes, those kinds of things. But a lot of times, just because we haven't seen them doesn't mean they haven't been wrestling on a lot of independent scenes for a lot of years, putting in their.
Yeah. And I agree. So. It's more like, I guess, when I say that, I'm viewing. When we talk about older people.
We lost Anika. Her connection must have went out. Miss Anika will be right back. I would imagine that she was mid-sentence.
I really don't know, because like it says at the top that he debuted in 2005, but then when you go to professional wrestling career, it says Ring of Honor 2015. So does that mean he trained starting in 2005 and he trained for a decade before going to Ring of Honor?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That's a long time to be training.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, right? I mean, you gotta, well, I mean, you gotta train, pay your dues, and do all those kinds of things. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I don't know, but like, I lived in Washington. Let's see, in 2000 and I'm trying to think about this. 2002, I was going to a local show here, um, and they had a recurring group of guys that had been doing it. Several that had been there for a little while, and some guys that were newer, but. And I went to another show like a year and a half ago, and it's like 10 years later, and it's still most of the same group of guys. Like these guys still haven't advanced, and you can't tell me their goal isn't still to try to get to, even an MLW
Yeah.
or a GCW. So these guys are there. I mean, this has been now 8, 9, 10 years since the last time I saw them, and they're still there doing independent DOA shows, trying to do something. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys have to pay their dues. They go from independent show to independent show in their local area. They do whatever they can to try to, and then before you know it, well, hopefully, after you spend a long time doing it, you get some sort of you either know somebody or going to call up in some way, shape, or form. Someone likes what they see or something. I mean, I don't know, but I'm not sure the whole process. You train with someone that maybe knows somebody, but yeah, I think you do spend a long time training and learning. The Dave Batistas of the world are few and far between. The guys
Mhm.
that come at like 30 and just take to
Uh,
something and because they're,
Or
a
Diamond
phenomenal
Dallas Page.
athlete
Yeah.
and talented, right? Or the Diamond or the DDPs, right? I mean, you can count those easily on two hands, right? So the reality is that either you're lucky enough to get your start pretty early in the main situation, like a Rock, because your dad is who he is and your family is who they are, or a John Cena because somebody like Vince sees your talent at a really young age and decides, oh, I can mold that guy. But most of these guys have to spend 10 plus years in the independents and, on the lower cards doing house shows for whatever, to get even on TV. So, I mean, yeah. And, the question becomes, for me, the question really becomes what's more. Obviously the pay is 100% better, 1,000,000,000 times percent better when you reach WWE. The question is the grind worse? Is it easier being? Are you actually? What's the level of being a WWE wrestler? Like the mileage. Seth has been a WWE main event superstar for X amount of time, over 10 years now. I would say Damien's been a superstar for 3 years, maybe 4 years. So I mean, the question becomes, is there a difference in that kind of wear and tear? I don't know. Maybe it's easier at the WWE level than it is at the lower level. Maybe it's harder. I have no clue. I guess that would be part of the question too.
I did find that in 2012 he was KPW Tag Team Champions with Matthew Riddle, and I
Oh,
thought Matt
interesting.
Riddle was still in UFC at that time. So surprise,
Interesting.
surprise to
So,
me.
yeah. I mean, so I think anybody that wants to make it to the main level is going to have to do a lot in a lot of different places. You got to do and wrestle for probably some very, very small money at times just to show that you're willing to do stuff, right? So, all right. I guess we can move on since it was the first half
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah, sometimes you have to wrestle where you paid more for gas to get there than you're actually getting paid to perform.
No doubt.
But you're doing that
100%.
just to get more eyes on you.
Yeah, and more repetitions doing stuff. Yeah, all those kinds of things. I mean, all that work in the Friday night bar where there's, 45 people and that's it, but you get the reps in, right? You get to practice and all those kinds of things. And hopefully maybe somebody shows up, maybe somebody sees it, who knows? So,
Yeah.
all right, what was next?
Up next, we had Judgment Day and Liv Morgan and Raquel taking on Damage Control and Io and Kyrie. Sky Pirates.
Solid
This
fun
was a good
match.
match. And even though this is the hardest part of commenting on wrestling, you have to put your bias aside. And so it's like I don't care about Liv Morgan. I don't care about Liv Morgan at all. I don't care if she
Right.
wins. I don't care if she loses. But putting it aside, she is champ, so she can't lose a lot. So I was very glad when Raquel Rodriguez got the freaking
Rodriguez.
pin, and like okay,
that makes sense because she's a champ, and it wasn't on Io, who is facing Liv at Saturday Night Main Event. That's another great match for Saturday Night Main Event.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, at least Io didn't get pinned. So this is the best case scenario. This is how it's supposed to happen. But great match. I always love Kyrie and Io in any match in any capacity. And then after the match,
Rhea Ripley.
try to beat down Kyrie and Io. Here comes Rhea.
Liv slides out of the ring, and Raquel won the match, and then ended up getting the beating.
And then Raquel beat up Rhea and slammed her eye into the ring, into the commentary table. Look, it's something about an eye injury where I think you have to be super safe with that kind of stuff. I know they're safe. I know they're trying. They're not trying to injure other people, but it really is like one false fling, especially when it feels like Liv and Rhea are very, very injury prone. So it really is like, stop doing stuff unnecessarily. Just punch her in the punch her in the eye. You don't have to throw her in the table because it really was like, oh God, please do it right. How right can you do it where she's not getting actually hurt her? It's just, yeah.
But it was another eye for an eye match.
No, we don't ever need to see that. We don't need to see that again.
AEW
an eye for an eye match. We don't need to see that again. We don't. Let that die in the panorama. We don't need to see that ever again in life.
Well, it was before that when the AEW did it.
No, please do.
Hey, no, I don't want anyone to do it. That was a crazy behind stipulation and it belonged to the crazy behind era of the panorama. It does not need to be in the real world or the kayfabe world of wrestling.
Before the panorama, when AEW did it, I thought that match was good.
When they do an eye for an eye match?
Jon Moxley versus the Puerto Rican Roman Reigns.
Which is
one half of Proud and Powerful.
They didn't do an eye for an eye, did they?
Did. And then WWE copied it like half a year later.
And this was AEW.
Yeah. Jon Moxley before he became the world champion in AEW.
I don't remember this
at all. He was feuding with the Inner Circle. No, it wasn't the Inner Circle. It was oh shoot. Well, yeah, it was the Inner Circle, right?
That was Jericho's group with LAX, or I guess LAX.
Yeah. They were called the Inner Circle, right?
Yeah, yes. They were Inner Circle, yes.
Okay. Yeah. He was feuding with the Inner Circle, and that was one of the Inner Circle matches that Jon Moxley had.
Santana and Moxley. I don't remember that either. I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't doubt you. I'm just saying I don't remember it either.
But all right, yeah. Evidently we blocked it out. That's how bad it was. So let's not do it again.
Let's see. You guys don't remember that. I mean, I get it that was like the beginning of 2020. That was like January of 2020.
Yeah, that was the pandemic. The pandemic started at the end of 19, basically, the beginning of 20, or was it the beginning of 19?
We didn't have lockdowns until like April.
Either way,
I mean, in China, sure. Here, it hadn't hit us yet. It hadn't hit us for a couple months still. We got to see Jon Moxley become champion before the lockdowns happened.
This segment, to bring us back to this segment that we're talking about here, ultimately from beginning to end, there's three people I care about: Io, Kyrie, and Rhea. I don't care at all about Raquel or Liv, and I care less about Raquel than I do about Liv. So that being said, I thought the match itself was fine. The Sky Pirates are solid. They can carry anybody, and Liv is an okay wrestler. Raquel is what she is, and Rhea's amazing. So for me, I thought this works good. For the most part, I'm here for it. What I really need to have happen is I need to have Rhea take that belt off of Liv. That's what's got to happen. So
I
I
like
don't know.
so someone threw out the idea of Rhea helping Io beat Liv for the title. I am here for
Rhea
that.
helping Io beat Liv for the title. Okay. And
Like
then what?
like
Rhea would give Io a shot. I mean, Io would give Rhea a shot.
so
I
we've
mean,
been saying
the
for the
belt has to go back on Rhea. It's got to go back to Rhea, right?
it
I mean,
really
it's
don't though. It really
what?
don't though.
Why
So
not?
I like I think we've all been saying this. This feud with Liv and Rhea does not need the belt. It did not need the belt. Like honestly, when it was for Dom, like you did not have to put the belt in here for this situation. It was just because it was the hottest story, and I understand that to a point. But if we're going to progress women's wrestling in WWE, that belt got to get off Liv. And no offense, but I don't really see how other women are beneficial when the belt's on Rhea. Like I'm thinking back about this year when Rhea was champ, it wasn't that many good defenses, and it really didn't build anyone else up. So I'm all for putting the belt on Io and just letting Liv and Rhea finish this off. If you want to circle back and have Rhea versus Io, yes, please. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Io having a actual run with this belt.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I like Io Sky. I mean, I just assume that I mean, Rhea is at this point maybe your other than maybe Bianca and Jade, your biggest star, right? And so I mean, WWE, whether we like it or not, they like to pick people and put the belts on them and leave them on them for extremely too long. So,
This
Rhea seems
so
like the perfect female Roman Reigns, in my opinion, if she can stay healthy. And they love to do
that's the
that kind of
part,
shit.
staying
So,
healthy. So
so
this is just me speculating and me actually kind of day dream fantasizing too. There you go, fancy booking a little bit as well. But if we're going to get the women's division back to a decent level when it comes to the world heavyweight championship, I think that belt needs to stay away from Io. I'm sorry, it needs to stay away from Liv and Raquel. I'm sorry, and Lord have mercy, so many people. That belt needs to stay away from Liv and Rhea Ripley for a minute. We all know Io is a horse. It's a worker. Let Io be the female Gunther, and just let her just rebuild the belt up with actual good women's matches.
yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I just think that long term, I assume
And
that
I'd rather
Rhea,
see Io dropping the title to one of these NXT women when they come up.
and
interesting.
talking about SmackDown. It was a whole so the one of the biggest highlights was Monday Night Raw is going to be on Netflix. They're going to switch some stuff. They're going to switch some people around, and some people are going to change channels.
I
We were
saw
talking
that.
about this. I think Bianca needs to go back on Raw. Bianca needs to go back on Raw. If we're going to switch anyone around, Bianca needs to head back to Raw. I don't know how you do it, but that needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we'll see what they end up doing. I did see that they're going to have that mix up, or they're going to do some sort of mix up with the roster brands. Um,
Right. And
just
then,
for the
Io versus
reason they're just
Bianca.
why do we even have the brand split in the first place? Why do you even have the draft in the first place? I mean, the draft literally is like it makes sense for like a week, and then they just shit all over it. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't
It's
know.
supposed to
I don't
give
know the
people
date.
opportunity.
The main thing is that the draft itself isn't even fun. They hold it every year like it's a big, fun, exciting thing, and it's dumb because it's all the same people basically staying on the same shows. You
Yeah.
almost get no movement, and when you do, it's people you don't care about, and it's like, okay.
I mean, I hear the point you're making, but like I also vividly remember when there was no brand split and it was the same exact 20 people on both shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you
Like
can
you might as
do, I
well
mean,
hire half the roster.
you
You
Yeah.
might
can
as well
do
take half the people and tell them to leave if we're not doing the brand split.
But see, the thing is that you could have like a pseudo brand split without making a big deal about it. Like you can have your SmackDown wrestlers and your Raw wrestlers. You just don't have a draft and just don't call it a brand split and just don't make it a big deal how the two shows are separate. Kind of like Tony does with Collision and Dynamite or Rampage and Collision and Dynamite. He doesn't, clearly they're not the same shows. You get different guys on different shows. You have your Rampage guys, you have your Collision guys, and you have your Dynamite guys. But it doesn't feel like they're three separate brands. Like, oh, we're gonna keep these. I mean, you still see intermingling of storylines between Collision and Rampage and Dynamite. I mean, I don't understand why you can't just do that with SmackDown and Raw. I don't
like. Although Okada's normally a Dynamite person, we saw him on Rampage this week.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's enough room that you can still have your guys on each channel and not have to have this, fake hardcore brand split. I mean, I don't, so especially when you don't adhere to it.
They should be able to do that, but I don't trust them to do it.
I hear you. And I mean, I understand the reason that we did the brand split in the first place was because we had that issue. You had everybody, you had the same 10 guys on all shows, and you didn't have anybody else. There's no time for anybody else. But that's a booking issue, though. And that's a pacing issue of the show. That's not an indictment of not having a brand split or not having, you know what I'm saying? That's just bad booking. I mean, you can have
with the brand split, it forces the bookers to look at the roster as this half and this half instead of like, here's the list, because when you give them the entire list, then they're just going to choose the same people, and we saw that firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's true. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Netflix looks like or what Raw looks like on Netflix. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, we end up getting twice as much Roman Reigns, and we're going to get twice as much Seth Rollins and twice as much CM Punk, and we're going to get half the time of Chad Gable. It's like, no, thank you. No.
Yeah. Can't argue with that statement. If that's the outcome, then that's definitely not what I want.
It was a matter of time when Netflix was like, "Oh, I want these people on my show." It's just a matter of when they were going to say it. Like, all right, it's December. We want to pick our roster for Raw. It's like, dang, you could have told us a month earlier.
I mean,
it is December.
Does that surprise anybody?
Take a month earlier. We're doing this now. I feel like doing a roster for the debut night of Netflix on Raw. That's something you do. You don't do the month before.
Yeah, December feels a little 11th hour when you're premiering in January.
Yeah.
It's like we couldn't have talked about this in June when we were first setting the table and coming up with the negotiation. You couldn't have said we want XYZ wrestlers. I mean,
I think this is the perfect time. Like, the pay-per-view's over, and now that the pay-per-view's over, okay, let's get to moving the brands to how we want it.
And perhaps, I mean, it is possible. This is a conscious decision. Maybe they had this all on the table and they decided to do it right now. I mean, just because they're doing it now doesn't mean they decided just yesterday to do this. They could have had this in the works and just decided to wait until December to do it. I mean, maybe it's just bad timing, and in some people's opinions, I don't know. But I mean, we don't know that it was just like, oh, let's do this all of a sudden, scratching our heads, sitting around waiting for January, and it was like, oh shit, we should have done this before. I mean, maybe they decided this and they decided to roll it out now.
For me, it's like 4 months until the debut. I mean, not 4 months. 4 weeks until the debut. That gives you 4 weeks to hype it up by doing these shakeups. And we'll see where the cards lay. But until the debut, I feel like it's too early for me to say, one way or the other. It's like, I'm going to take the wait and see approach. There's 4 weeks. This is week 1 of 4. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Right. What's next?
Backstage, Gunther brushed off Finn Balor. Finn Balor wants a world title shot. He says instead he wants a match with Dominic Mysterio. But later on, we'll get there.
I love this segment, and everybody who was like, "Hey, it should have been Gunther versus Dominic at Survivor Series." All right, here you go. Here's your Gunther and Dominic match. In my personal opinion, I still think it should have been Damien instead of Dominic. And yes, I think this should have been a TV match than a pay-per-view match. So I'm all here for all of this.
Damien's a dude who I could see going over to SmackDown.
Maybe
Say it again.
Damien's one of those dudes I could see be moved to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I
And
wouldn't
now that he's
hate
no
that.
longer with Judgment Day, I mean, I can see that. Gunther's very interesting. I feel like he took what was at the time a semi-struggling Intercontinental Championship and really elevated it. I'm not sure. I feel like he's done the same or even kept the same level with the World Championship. I almost feel like he's dropped a little bit with the World Championship. And I don't know if that's just because of the matches he's been in. I'm excited for Dominic Mysterio. I'm excited for Dominic Mysterio and Gunther. I'm excited for Finn Gunther. I think the problem is and I know that monster or big guy versus big guy or bigger guy versus bigger guy, guys that are similar in size, work well together for whatever reason. The two matches with Orton didn't work great. The second one was better than the first. I didn't work great. Neither did either of the two matches with Damian Priest either. And I feel like it's just because for whatever reason, I mean, the second one I thought was better than the first one, and it was, they were okay. I thought they were better than the Orton matches, but I still think that I'm very interested to see Gunther work with a smaller guy. I think Ilya really made Gunther work, and obviously they're not Ilya, but that idea of a younger, smaller, maybe faster paced guy that's gonna try to speed up the match a little bit. The last few Gunther matches have been very slow for me and too methodical and not very exciting, honestly, in my opinion. So
did I fall down the rabbit hole? Am I in Wonderland? Like, where's AEW?
What?
Where's what?
Like, where is ALW? Like, I don't know who you are.
Oh, you actually want, ALW actually want a big man versus little man, and it's actually going to make a difference on what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it threw me off. I was like, what are they talking about? Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I generally am not a big fan of that, but it's more the David versus Goliath stuff that I'm not a big fan of. I don't have that necessarily feeling between like Finn and Gunther. Like, there isn't like that Rey Mysterio big show feel. Like, it's more, I mean, Finn's bigger, Gunther's whatever, a little bit small. I don't know. It is in my head. It's just what, and maybe it's because the last few matches I have been, in my opinion, with Gunther have been a little disappointing. And it's, and so maybe that's just, I don't know, maybe right now I'll feel different about it when they have him. But right now I feel like we need something to change Gunther's pace. His pace in matches has been slow and boring, unfortunately, since having this title. It just is what it is.
Small, you say small people, but I go to 2022 with his feud with Sheamus and his feud with Drew. So I think it's just the people and how they wrestle, because those two are big, massive men, but those are entertaining as ham fat. Now, granted, Orton is a little is older.
As he was just 2 years ago. Sheamus is really slowed down.
But even with the it was they went against each other for King of the Ring. The first round King of the Ring, it was Sheamus versus Gunther, and that was still a good banger. That was still awesome. So I really think it's a matter of how the style of wrestling. Like, you can be a big dude and just be impactful. And it's not, like, no offense, but Orton is slow as hell. And I get it. I get it.
It's methodical.
Yeah.
But that
will always been that way. Like, aside from his finisher and the occasional drop kick, like, Orton has always wrestled slow. Like, since like 2006. Like, the first couple of years he was pretty quick, and then I think enough dudes in the back told him to slow it down. He was like, all right, you want me to slow it down? I'll slow it down. I feel like he took that as a challenge.
Yeah. But, like, I guess when it comes to Gunther, he needs to, his top matches are against strikers. Now, I'm not sure how many people in WWE are strikers. I go to NXT when it was him versus Ciampa, and that was a great match. And then him versus Ilya, that was just, they were just striking the crap out of each other. So it really is like, all right, you might need to have to train these people a little bit differently because Gunther's awesome. Gunther's not the problem.
I mean, I tend to think not. I mean, at the same time, the greatest superstars are the ones that can ultimately find a way to work with everybody. And I'm not saying he can't, but if there becomes a formulaic thing where certain guys he doesn't have good chemistry with, then that could potentially be an issue, I suppose. But, it is what it is. I mean,
I
it's
feel
not
like
the end of the
Damian
world.
Priest is
So,
a striker, though.
yeah. And again, their matches weren't terrible. There's just something about it that just didn't click right for me. I mean,
the build up to those matches. I actually like the build up to SummerSlam. Sorry, Survivor Series. SummerSlam, it wasn't bad either. I guess after you do those two build-ups, right, you have to reestablish him as a dominant force, and they haven't done that. I think that's the problem. Where it's like, okay, we've weakened the appeal of Gunther, but you haven't rebuilt him up as, oh no, that was just a momentary lapse. I'm still that dude. So we need that match where he's like, oh, I'm still that dude.
That's true. Which
maybe that'll be Finn.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be Finn though. Come on.
I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily want to feed Finn Balor to Gunther in that spot there. I mean, Dominic sounds like a much better meal, but
yeah, okay.
All right, what's next?
Up next, we had the triple threat towards the Intercontinental Women's Championship. Dakota Kai defeating Katana Chase and Shayna Baszler, which going into this match, I was like, oh, it's got to be Shayna Baszler.
Well, I didn't think that because they didn't give Shayna Baszler a promo video. They gave Dakota Kai a promo video. And no offense, but yeah, that is an indicator of who's going to win the match. But
they gave her a promo video last week too, though.
Was Shayna?
No. Dakota Kai. She's had a promo video this week and last week.
That's what I'm saying. So that kind of was an indicator of who's going to win the match. But everything that AEW is feeling right now, I felt too. Like, even though I was 100% on Dakota winning, I real life wanted Shane. I'm like, come on. I know who's supposed to win this match, but Shayna was so bad. It really was like, come on, give me the Queen of Spades back. Come on. But yeah, they put the spotlight on Dakota Kai. She won. Whatever.
I mean, everyone knows how I feel about Dakota Kai, so I don't need to say it again. It makes sense, I guess, from a kayfabe standpoint. You want damage control to be big, and she's, a big part of damage control. So putting a title on her helps damage control. I still don't. I don't like it. Where is my Queen of Spades? I mean, can we just say that Shayna deserves so much more? What? I mean, God, like, how much do they have to be paying her for her to be willing to just do nothing and take losses and just be, middling, low card, mid card, whatever you want to call it? It's like, dude.
Like, for real, there's so many matches in AEW I'd like to see Shayna.
Right?
Like, the top of the list has to be Serena Deeb, though.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I mean, Deanna would be fun.
Yeah.
AEW, they still got Martinez, right? Mercedes Martinez.
I don't know.
She's in Ring of Honor, but yeah, I think she's. But yeah, I think so.
So many good matches. Like, shoot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't begrudge if Shayna went over and she's the one who dethrones Athena.
Yeah, I mean, she'd be great in Ring of Honor versus Athena would be great. Yeah. I mean, anything to get her away from the nothing she basically does in WWE. I mean, when was the last time they gave her anything substantial? And even then, they still haven't really done anything with her in the time they've had her that I would call substantial.
Done is her feud with Lola Vice, I feel. And it's like, well, she ended up losing that, so like how much is
Right?
that really doing for her?
I mean, she had a solid NXT career run, and then that was basically it. I mean, she's had some moments on the main roster, but nothing. And as far as
She
I'm concerned, she should have been multiple time world champion. I mean,
she had the Elimination Chamber.
Yep, that was it. Yep. Did the panorama happen and no one know how to? Well, even though it wasn't ideal, I did love her and Nia being tag team champions. I wish they had more good matches, but that was a good run. I did love them dethroning the Boston Hug Connection. That was a great match at SummerSlam. But
I do remember
you
that.
know,
Yeah, that was fun. I do remember that. That was another one of her, higher spots, right? She was,
yeah,
if you call it a roller coaster, that was on one of her peaks for sure. She's been in
yeah,
the valley for a long time now, but I mean, um, yeah.
yeah. All right. Next.
Free Shayna Baszler. Free Shayna Baszler. I mean, I don't. She's probably getting a bag of money and is happy that she's doing whatever she's doing. I'm sure, but over here, free
Well,
Shayna Baszler.
well, let her go back to let her just go to Bloodsport and exorcise all these demons. Let's do
Right.
that.
All right.
Her
What's
versus
next?
Masha, that was great.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
All
What's
right.
next?
Up next was the segment of the night. I think the segment of the week. It was 10
Put a lot
years
on it.
of the New Day.
Oh,
New
interesting.
Day
Segment of the
New
show of the
Day
week.
Rocks.
Ooh.
New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks.
Get it over with.
Because
So here's the great thing, right? Tell me when they're lying. Tell me when they're lying.
They're
Don't get
lying. They're
don't
lying.
get me
We're not.
don't get me. He was I get it.
All right.
I get it. But tell me when they're lying. He
Let's
could
let's
have come
let's
at any time.
I
He
had to
could have come at any
decompress
time
this.
and been a
but
manager. He could have showed up
let's
3 weeks ago when they had the drama. He could have showed up a month and a half ago when things started to rub each other wrong a little bit. Nah, instead he just sat back and waited till things come to a head. And now you gonna come out here?
let,
Now
let, let
now you gonna come out here.
This
Now
was
you
a
gonna come out
segment
here.
I had to talk to
we gotta
somebody.
go through the
Now you
segment first. Let's go through the
go ahead.
segment first.
Go ahead.
So yeah, New Day comes out, and it's basically a mausoleum of all old New Day stuff. You have the trombone to the side. You have the big box of bootios from WrestleMania. You have the unicorn. You have the rainbow floaty devices, and
You had the crowd.
Kofi and Xavier. Their faces are not like they're mad at each other anymore. Their faces are resolved. Where it's like, yeah, this was a good run, but maybe it's time to end it. So they go into the ring and they're saying this big speech about how 10 years of anything is so good. And like the people are chanting Big E, rightfully so. And Xavier's like, we miss him too. We miss him too. With all that being said, and then and then before they say it, we hear the
Y'all
theme
want to go
song.
big?
Didn't say that. And it's like people are like, well, what is that? Like, I remember Biggie's solo run. I remember his theme song. So y'all need to stop. And it's by Wale. It's a good banger. Here comes Biggie. And it's like, okay, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it before it goes to hell. We're gonna fix it before it goes to hell. So Biggie's in a suit. He's not his full on New Day jolliness. He's serious because it's his brothers. His brothers are beefing. So he comes out, he goes to the ring. He's like, I'm not gonna let what we built for 10 years end like this. So I have decided that until I'm cleared, I'm going to be y'all managers. I'm going to restore the feeling of New Day. Sammy, I can't.
Oh. I had to talk to somebody about this because like here it is when it's time to call it quits, or it's like we've done what we could. Like, we just got to call this off. It's time to end this relationship. And oh boy, tries to come in like, I can change. I can change. I can do better. Let's
Now,
not end this yet. I can do better.
I will say this. It is documented on Workhorse Wrestling Network. Sammy has said for a minute, why hasn't Big E come back to be the manager? So he has said this time and time again. But in Big E's defense, you can't be with the person. You can't be in a random. We've seen what that did to Bryan Danielson when he was the manager of SmackDown. Yeah, it was a job, but he didn't love it. It made him mad. He didn't fully enjoy doing that. It ate at his soul. So I'm on Big E's side about no, I can't come back and just manage y'all and watch y'all do the thing I loved. And he came back now. Don't roll your eyes at me. He came back now because it was dire straits. Forgive Big E for thinking two grown men could freaking finish the freaking story by themselves and not get into petty matches or petty squabbles because some white dude that came from freaking NXT that had without bald headed now grew hair and we don't know how he grew the hair that fast said to Xavier, "Oh, they don't trust you." Oh, that's Jason. That's how New Day is because this stranger from nowhere is putting stuff into your head, and so yeah. Now it's time for you to come back and freaking brainwash your behind out of this foolishness. So I'm on the side of Big E.
I'm not on the side of Big E.
What?
So let's finish. What'd you say, Sammy?
I said I'm not on the side of Big E.
So let's finish the segment. After Big E says, "I'm going to come back as your manager," what does Xavier and Kofi say?
They said, nah, we're good.
They
They say, you know
said,
what?
You can't just come back
You can't
now.
just come back now. All this time, we had injuries. I was injured. Xavier was injured. We were still
and
here. We've been
Achilles
here.
I
heel.
tore my
We didn't have
Achilles off
we
the
didn't have to
bone. I was
run
back
away
in
and
six
cry and
months
wallow
for
about our
you.
injury. Like, where were you? Like, yeah, and they're not wrong. I mean, here's the thing. They're not right. It's tacky and whatever. At the same time, they're not wrong either. I mean, telling the truth sometimes isn't pretty, isn't nice. I'm not saying he wasn't fine in doing what he did. That doesn't mean they're not telling the truth also.
Go
So,
back to
you
your
know,
desk where you belong.
exactly.
They didn't have to say it so rudely. You broke
So
your neck.
ridiculous.
So what? Like what? Are you serious?
So,
Come on.
hey, look, he got ultimately what he wanted, which is now they're united in their anger against him. So
You
he
broke
brought his
your
brothers
neck.
back
So what?
together. You brought your brothers back together.
Yeah,
Now they're
you broke
heels
your
and they're
neck. So what? You didn't break your
united
legs.
against
You can
you.
stand here with us.
No. That is not how Big E wanted to do it.
Oh, man.
Come
No,
on,
he
Edge,
selfishly wanted it on his terms instead of being there for New Day the whole time.
because he couldn't do it. He was gonna do
He
it
knows.
because it was dire straits. He thought y'all was good, but evidently y'all are not good. And what you're not gonna do is turn your anger out on me. Talking about Stone Cold broke his neck and came back, Edge broke his neck and came back, Brian Dale. I'm like, hold up, wait, time out.
They put a lot on it. They put a lot on it.
I'm like, daggone it. And then like Natty's husband, I'm glad that he had an interview because he broke his neck too. So everybody was like, why you didn't come back? He's like, well, the how my neck was broken, it was high up in the freaking along my jawline. So it's like it really is a place where if I hit one thing wrong, I'm paralyzed. So
Right.
all neck injuries aren't the same. So you can't be just randomly just throwing off people's what you call it? Just throwing off people's names of who had broken necks and came back.
No, I mean this was solid. I mean, segment of the week after we review the other two shows, I'll think about it. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely probably the best part. This is definitely the best part of this Raw episode for sure.
But as I was telling my sister, it's like a bad boyfriend of like, Once everything's all said and done, you're ready to call it quits. Now he wants to change. And
What?
it makes me think of the Toby Keith song. It's a little too late. I'm a little too gone.
Yeah, I don't listen to that, so I don't know that.
Oh my god.
Hanging on.
So the question becomes, what is next here? So we clearly now have them united in their hatred against. So we have a heel New Day tag team again. I mean, is that what we're
Are
talking
they
about?
heels? Are they heels?
Yes, they are heels. This is not like
I
Seth,
feel like
where it's
they're
like,
just
oh,
keeping
yes, they
it
are.
100, and I'm here for a New Day that's keeping it 100.
They're heels. They're heels. They are heels. Yes, they are. They are
I
heels.
didn't realize that being honest and being truthful was a
Being
bad
honest
thing.
because you butt hurt. It's not how to be honest. No, they are heels. But let's flip it. I am very interested in heel New Day. They haven't been heels since 2016, so I'm not going to say I'm opposed to it.
If New Day are heels, then I'm a heel. I'm just saying.
Yes. Here's the real question.
Workhorse wrestling being babyfaces and heels. That's another question. That's another question for another day because I don't think any of us are baby faces on this show.
Here's the real question. The real question is this a one-off or is he here because he's ready to come back? Is Big E coming back?
So unfortunately, I don't think he's so in my mind, the only thing that was missing from this is them attacking Big E. They didn't attack Big E, and I think that's because he is not cleared yet. So there is no timetable. If they would have beat up Big E, I'm like, oh shoot, he's actually taking bumps. He didn't take any bumps, so that means that he's not cleared yet.
But also, being cleared to take a bump and being cleared to wrestle are also very different things too.
So like you can't even take a chair shot or
if you're cleared to not even take a bump, you're probably not cleared to wrestle a match. That's for sure. I assume one comes before the other.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's probably going to be a hot minute before we see Big E in the ring. And again, if he even wants to be in the ring, we're going to reality just a little bit. Neck injuries, very, very tricky. I do not oppose anyone who's saying, you know what, I don't want to risk it. I'm not opposed to anyone who says I don't want to risk it. I'm not. So if he still feels uncomfortable with being in the ring and being 100% safe, I'm all here for your decision. Now back into reality. Yeah, back into kayfabe. Yeah.
So if he's not here, I'm back. What do heel New Day do now? What's next for them?
Hopefully, take the belts off of Judgment Day, who we keep forgetting has the freaking tag team belts. It's time for them to let it go. Now, it's kind of weird because
gotta let it go.
It's kind of weird because heel versus heel faction, I'm not here for. So who gets the belts off of Judgment Day to give it to New Day? War Raiders are cool, but I think you need that syrupy sweet baby face that had the belts. And I'm not sure if Raw has that tag team, right? Wow.
I was gonna say, who is that? Yeah, who is that? There isn't one.
Dad, gone it. It's only War Raiders and they're badasses.
Right.
And then you have Alpha Made.
Yeah, I mean Otis and Tozawa.
No. Sorry. American Made is brothers.
The Creeds.
The Creed brothers.
The Creeds. Yeah, they're definitely not faces.
Yeah, Alpha Academy. That would be cool, but they're not up to par. Where it's like, put the belt on.
No. You can't put the belts on Otis and Tozawa.
So back to putting people on Raw for Netflix. We need one of them. We need one of Bayface teams on Netflix because that gone.
So again, I'm not opposed to any of this in a vacuum. I liked it. I thought it was good. You had to do something.
Yeah.
The tension was rising between Xavier and Kofi. I get it. Big E's, if he's not coming back, you keep these guys together, turn them heel, and their anger against me. The question is just storyline telling wise, what's next? WWE, well, wrestling does this a lot, but WWE is infamous for doing something and not knowing what to do next. And I just hope that they have some sort of plan for them, and that it's not just this was to just turn them in, and then they don't really have anything to do.
No,
Time will tell.
They should definitely become champions again. If we're going to reheat up this tag team, I think them being champions is way better than Judgment Day being champions. Just a matter of, there is no babyface tag teams like that.
Another one is the line, "We didn't change. We didn't evolve at our own deficit for you. So you would have a familiar place to come back to."
Okay. Maybe you didn't change because you didn't know how to change it. What we're not going to do is this power crap you're going to put on Big E.
Right.
And what we're not going to do.
Just for the sake of time and how long this show is already on Saturday, what was next?
Oh, yes.
Next we had Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
Brother versus brother.
Brother
versus brother.
That's a joke about the memes from like 5 years ago where everybody was comparing Gunther to Rey Mysterio.
That's funny. I don't really
I
remember.
kind of remember that, but I still didn't get it. It was like, what? But yeah, this match was cool. But I think to the detriment of, we're talking about Gunther in his aura. So the match happens, right? Gunther is being very, very dominant, and then Dominic does a low blow, and for some reason the crowd is cheering for Dirty Dom. It's like, hold up, time out. Yes, they can hear you. They can do all that. Yes.
Hello.
Hey, I'm gonna punch you in the throat. I'm so serious. But yeah, even though it's a heel faction, right? It's like, okay, who do we cheer for? In my mind, Dirty Dom is still Dirty Dom. So it's like, y'all are actually cheering? Y'all are actually cheering for Dirty Dom in this scenario?
What? Gunther's definitely a tweener too. He's more of a heel too than he is a face. I mean, if I had to name what Gunther was, if I had to pick, he's a heel. I mean, he has been his whole career, right? I mean, that's
so. But
has Gunther ever? Imperium's never been a face faction. Gunther's never been a face.
But Gunther is a respected heel, where he's like, okay, the reason why I'm a heel is because I love the mat. The mat is sacred, right? Dirty Dom is a heel because he's despicable. So just to hear that, so just to hear that flurry of, oh, we want Dom to be Gunther, it's like, wait, hold up, what planet are we on right now? But all in all, but yeah, Gunther overcomes and gets the 1, 2, 3, and then here comes Finn, and he's like, "Watch and learn, kid." And he keeps beating up. He beats Gunther just from behind, but all in all, and he gives them 3 coup de grace. And so he's like, "That's how you do it." And so and so I do love this thing of Finn's like, we have no leaders, but I want everybody to listen to me. It's like that. It's a very, very hilarious thing. It was like, listen to me, and so that goes on further in the night. But
in Finn's defense, he's a decade older than the next person if you're not counting Carlito.
This is true, but it's different between giving advice and giving orders. He's trying to give orders of how to run the Judgment Day, and so. Yeah. So but who knows? Even though him trying to be the leader is wrong, he might get his way because Dominic got behind whooped. So, and then that leads to we're getting Finn versus Gunther at Saturday Night Main Event. Very, very tasty match. So. So this was all in
Yeah.
all, it was a good match. But it's like we gotta do some rebuilding of Gunther, because like, all right, the aura of he's that dude is kind of wearing off. And I even though I'm here for, okay, let's see some cracks in the chain in the armor, I want Gunther to still have the appearance of that dude. So let's go back to that before he loses again, or we do the chicken of armor.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, I like this a little bit more. I mean, I don't know that I thought that it was a better match than the matches with Damian or Randy Orton. And, it is what it is. It's a Monday Night Raw match, kind of in the middle of the card. It is what it is. But I do like Gunther against somebody who can kind of turn the pace up a little bit, against somebody who he can dominate a little bit more, and it doesn't, it makes more sense. I think his sweet spot is when he looks more. Just I hate to even use this word in association with him, and it has nothing to do with, but just kind of Goldberg-ish, has that kind of feel to him where he can't be stopped. And when you
Which we're
wrestle,
getting that match.
right? Well,
And
yes, that I'm
elevated
not
Goldberg,
interested in,
yes.
but not, yeah, but which you get that feel from him a lot, when he's in matches with a
Is that going to
Dominic
be at the next
Mysterio or
Saudi
these other guys.
show, or are they going to be doing that at Royal Rumble?
Say it again.
Are they doing that at the next Saudi show, or are they going to go ahead and give us that at the Royal Rumble?
What, Dominic versus Gunther?
No,
Gunther
Gunther
versus
versus
Goldberg.
Goldberg. Well, the Saudis love Goldberg, so I assume it'll be probably Crown Jewel. But
It has to be like, because that's when it happened, right? Well,
right. And this is at best an exhibition match, right? So I mean, that's the right spot to do it. I mean, it can't really be for any important thing, right? So
yeah, that shouldn't be on anything over here. No offense. No offense.
So that said, I mean, I like this Gunther a little bit better. This one is the one that I like a little bit more than the Gunther against Orton and against Damian Priest. But it is what it is, and I hope that that's the Gunther that we get against Finn Balor. Finn should be able to give him a really, 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 really good match, and it should be a really strong title defense for Gunther.
I'm surprised that this match went on before the next match.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little surprised.
I'll go ahead and move right into it, though.
Yeah.
We had R-Truth versus Pete Dunne.
Yeah, with R-Truth getting a win here, which I thought was very interesting. I guess this is to further the Pete Dunne spiral into craziness and insanity. I mean,
and the crowd was chanting "Butch, Butch, Butch."
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, which I find very interesting. I mean, I'm a huge Pete Dunne fan. I love R-Truth too. I mean, I've spent a long time saying I feel kind of, I feel kind of bad for the way that they've turned what I thought was, a really, really phenomenal wrestler in Ron Killings into basically a joke as R-Truth. That being said, if he loves what he's doing and he enjoys doing it and he's happy doing it, then more power to you, and get that money and do what you do, because he's been doing it for a long time. So he could have done a lot of other things, I'm sure. So, it is what it is. But then, periodically stuff like this happens and he gets a win over someone like a Pete Dunne. And, it's good for him. I'm not sure what the deal is with Pete Dunne. We had Pete Dunne going after everybody 3 months ago, and he was looking unstoppable. And now all of a sudden he's lost a bunch, and now he's in a spiral. And I guess I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I'm just not sure I understand the direction. So it seems a little all over the place to me. They can't decide what to do with him. So, and in that case, I don't know, because he's so talented, you can do anything you want to with him. So I don't, I still feel like even though we kind of had it, I mean, we had it, I still feel like there's this unfinished Sheamus deal that really hasn't ever been totally put a bow on with him and Sheamus. So I don't know. Pete Dunne's situation is odd at the moment.
I feel like when Ilya got hurt, that kind of threw away some of their plans for certain people. Because I could definitely see Ilya versus Pete Dunne for a minute. And let's say Ilya's the one to beat Braun Breaker, then that's Pete Dunne going against Ilya for the belt.
Sure.
like I feel like that was kind of piece of the puzzle, and they're still trying to figure out what to do with Pete Dunne in the meantime too. Because in my mind, if we're going to do Pete Dunne versus Braun Breaker ever, I'm here for Pete Dunne beating Braun Breaker, and I don't think
I
they want
agree.
that happen just yet.
Mark Trist needs to change his phone number.
Uh,
His phone number should be 24/7 2011. For real.
That's funny. All right, what's next?
We had Sami Zayn confronting Adam Pearce backstage because Jey Uso got attacked.
Who
And
did it? Who did
Sami
it?
Zayn, inferred that he thinks that Seth Rollins did it.
Who y'all think did it?
Well, he was all hot and heavy because everybody was teaming with Roman now. So there's no right now on the roster. There's no other pliable suspects. Yes.
Drew McIntyre.
I said yes, Sammy. Listen, okay. He's not here yet. Dad, go, do the other segment. Do the next segment. Okay.
Yeah. Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins.
This is a 2-hour Raw. Lord have mercy, it goes by fast.
Well, we've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, as long as we normally talk about Raw.
Yeah, but I love this match. Like I'm not an indie darling, so I did not see any Tyler Black versus what was Sammy's El Generico matches. I haven't seen any of those. So this was a treat, and I can only suspect that this was a treat for them too, because I'm trying to think, when was the last time we got a Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins match? They're very few and far between. I'm trying to think. Solo, I don't think we've ever had one.
That's what I remember.
So you can't tell me this wasn't a treat for them, and they definitely proved it it was a great match. But I'm like, it was like I want to say back when, I'm not sure when it was. I want to say 2022 or something, when they're when AJ Styles interrupted Seth Rollins. It's like, why didn't we have this? Like it's just like
this might be match tonight too.
Like it was like, why didn't we do this match before ever? Like, I know storyline wise, okay, but it's like there is nothing in the past 10 years that said, hey, let's see these two in the ring. I digress though, because like I said, this match was great, and you can tell they're like, oh, let's pull out some real wrestling out here. Let's do our thing with it. And they did. And like Sammy got the best of them because, enraged for his brother Jey Uso, and then it ends with him with the chair, and Seth was like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. I'm telling you right now, I'm not the one who beat up Jay. You gotta believe me. I know we're both heated right now in this scenario, but it wasn't me. Sammy throws the chair down. Seth rolls him up for 1, 2, 3, and you saw Sammy was like, God dang it! I let him beat me, and it was like, I love that. So the roll up has a bad rep. But I love when a roll up is done this way, where it's just like, he got me. I can't forget. So we only hear you pointing. There we go.
No, don't do that. That was a bad roll up. That was a bad roll up.
That was not a bad roll up.
It was. There wasn't a low blow. There wasn't a nothing to make it work. There was nothing but and then all of a sudden I have no energy to kick out at all. Like, really? It makes sense when you so you hit somebody from behind, or you get them with a low blow, or they're at least wobbly, damaged, something, and then you roll them up, you get the better of them. They're winded. They're out. He was just standing there, just a little disoriented because of what's going on with the, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, here we go, and it's over. Really?
So
that was a bad roll up.
So we have the return of Drew McIntyre, who I'm probably the biggest on Drew McIntyre out of everybody on the podcast, I'd say.
Yeah, boo.
I think
So,
CM might have you beat. I think it's between you and CM.
so last year, Drew had a grudge against the bloodline, and Jey Uso came in. He's like, I'm taking this sucker out. And Sammy was like, hold on, hold on, hold on. He's he's not with the bloodline anymore. He's no longer with Roman. He fought with Roman. He's no longer a part of that. Like, you gotta forgive Jey Uso. Now Jey Uso and Sami Zayn are on Roman's side. So what's holding Drew back this time? He already
Nothing.
liked Jey.
This was a great. Honestly, this is what happens when people leave and you forget about them. The surprise is so freaking good. What? Wow!
It was terrible. It was to the very end, terrible roll up in Drew McIntyre. It was terrible. His
It was not
terrible. Nobody.
See, bad wrestling has you believing that a roll up is a bad pin. No, a decent roll up. You don't have to dominate a match. You just need to pin someone's shoulders. 1, 2, 3. That's what this situation is. He had him pinned down. 1, 2, 3. You only need 3 seconds. You don't need to be dominant. You just need 3 freaking seconds.
See, you're against it. You're for it. Meanwhile, I'm Goldilocks for it. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it.
I'm like, Dad, and like, if they want to run this back, you can run this back. But let's go. Now let's go to Drew. Dad got it. Wait. It wasn't a bad finish. It was not a bad finish. Okay.
So between out of the people on this channel, I'm probably the least Drew fan. So him coming back does not. I mean, I don't dislike him. I think he's bland and doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So
I don't like Drew on Sundays. Every other day of the week, I like Drew.
What?
Oh, you don't watch Enter the Square Circle. Me and Drew had a big feud. Had a casket match with him where I beat him, and he lost all chances of competing for the world title ever again.
Oh God! Oh God! But
listen. The roll-up, legitimately, the roll-up makes sense sometimes. I thought that it didn't work in this spot for me. I felt like Sami Zayn wasn't disoriented enough at the end of a long enough match to make it really make sense in that spot. At the same time, it is what it is. That being said, Drew McIntyre coming back, I know there's a lot of people that like Drew. He's a needle mover for a lot of people. And so, I think in a vacuum, this is fine. It just doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, personally. But again, wrestling isn't for Alan, so isn't made for AEW, right? It's made for everybody. And Anika liked it. Sammy thought it was okay. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure it worked fine for most people. And there are a lot of Drew fans, so I'm sure people are happy. It gives, if nothing else, it gives the main, it gives Triple H another person to play with and, more storylines to tell. So, when Drew's done right, there have been times I don't dislike Drew McIntyre. I just think at times he's bland and boring. But when he's done right, when he's booked right, and when it's good, it's still. I mean, he can still be good. I just don't know. I just don't. I got to see what happens now that he's back, I guess.
So I'm not a future planner with Drew. Like, I don't see the future as clearly. But in this vacuum, I love this because, like I said, after the Hell in a Cell with Punk, he left my mind. Like, I never want, like, not in a bad way. It was just like outside out of mind, or just like, where's Drew? I'm like, I just like, oh, he's not here. So him just coming back and Claymoring the crap out of Sammy, like, oh shoot. Oh, okay.
I am definitely surprised. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So in that regard, kudos to WWE for being unpredictable, not telegraphing his comeback, those kind of things, all those kind of things. At the same time, like, his emotion didn't seem for me to fit the bill either. Like he was way too stoic. I thought he should have been way more amped up. Now, to be fair, Drew is fairly stoic, so I guess in some regards it fits his personality. But it's your first time back. You're getting the drop on someone that you really want to get the drop on. You don't even look excited. Like you look like you can take it or leave it. Really, when it boils down to it, like
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
He's not a raging inferno yet. He's a smoldering heat. Like, we got to work our way up to that,
Sure.
So that was the main event of Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a solid Raw. We talked about this before, the shows after a pay-per-view being better than the go-home shows before. I did think that was probably the case here as well. I'm trying to think of the go-home show for Raw the week before. I thought this one was better. I gave this a B+. I thought this was a B+
So
show. Actually, let me rephrase that. Hold on. I'm going to give it an A- because of Xavier, because of the New Day stuff. So I'm going to go A-. I got to put a little bit of emphasis on it because the New Day stuff was the best stuff easily on Raw this week. By the end of the show, I'll decide on the whole thing, but definitely on Raw. So I'm going to give it an A-. I thought that was done very well.
So I wasn't the biggest fan of the roll up, but I'm fine with it. So I'll count that as net neutral. I will say that the women's triple threat, I was not a fan of. It's the only match I wasn't a fan of. So I got to deduct points for that. And it then comes down to the matches on the card. And I think I have to deduct like half a point off of the Damage Control, Liv, and Raquel match. It was just a little clunky, a little sloppy. It felt off to me. So I'll go B+.
Yeah, this was an A. I don't know what kind of points y'all deducting. This was a freaking A. This was a freaking A. And yes, some people who won and lost, that is more so a matter of taste and what you want. And I totally understand that. But there is nothing egregiously bad where I'm like, oh God, I can't watch this anymore. Or oh God, let me fast forward. There is nothing on for me. There is nothing on this show was like, I want to fast forward through this show. Everything I watched, I was entertained by. So A.
B+ is the highest grade I've given a Raw this year.
Good for you. But this was an A.
All right. So moving on to NXT from the next night. This is the go home show for Deadline, which we will be having a watch along for tonight. So join us for that. Come back. I think the pre-shows and for the main card.
Same that place.
That's right.
We'll be an hour early, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Dolores says it's 4. I swear the main card's going to be 5, but probably be starting at 4. Either way.
Remember last week when y'all thought it was 3:30 and it was 3?
That's true. This is true. So probably 4 o'clock. Either way, join us back here for that watch along. You'll get a little notification if you hit the bell on the YouTube channel. You'll get a notification a half hour before we go live, so you can make sure and tune in for that. Either way, we will be here watching Deadline. So this is a go-home show for Deadline. We've got a last chance Iron Survivor qualifier match. The 4 women that lost their qualifiers now have a fatal 4-way to fill in the last spot for the Iron Survivor match that will take place at Deadline today. And it was Jada Parker versus Cora Jade versus Ren Sinclair versus Kalani Jordan. I thought the match was solid. They had a lot of back and forth. All 4 women had some spots. At the end, ultimately, Lola Vice comes down to interfere and basically attack Jada Parker. She went to kick Jada Parker in the head. and instead kicked Ren Sinclair in the head. And Ren Sinclair basically unconsciously landed on top of Cora Jade and got the pin 1, 2, 3. And Ren Sinclair moves on to be your last member of the Women's Iron Survivor match tonight at Deadline. This was interesting. I mean, you've got to have someone there, I guess, to take the beating, and that's going to be Ren Sinclair. But I was surprised she was the one that they decided to have win here. This is kind of an odd spot for her to win. I mean, I don't. It's so interesting to me. I wonder how I can personally simultaneously like and hate something at the same time, because I get really irritated when good matches get interrupted and have issues. And so I was pissy when Lola Vice came out. And I was like, fuck, here we go again. Another match that's been really solid is going to be interrupted and da 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 da. And then when it happened and she kicked Ren and Ren got the pin and her and Jada, the way it all went down, I thought it worked out. It was very entertaining the way it actually all ended up happening. Even though I think it's dumb that Ren got the win, I'm here for Lola and Jada. So even though I don't like the disruption of the match, I did like the way it practically played out in this. And so that was basically the first segment. I mean, Ren got the win, and now we get Jada and Lola basically in a feud, which they've been, or furthering the feud that they've been having. They're going to be wrestling each other at Deadline. So what'd you guys think of this?
Going into this match, I was like, I don't know who's going to win, but I know who's going to be taking the pin. And then the person who I thought was taking the pin won. And it's like, oh.
Right?
Oh.
Listen,
Yeah.
when it comes to endings, they want you to feel a certain way. They definitely made me feel a certain way because I was with Jada Park. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you like, oh my God, this is not how it ends. This is not, cause I get it. So Jada and Lola fight forever, have a last match, right? And I didn't know that their underground match was not official yet. So this is how you get your underground match. But I wanted Jada in that Survival Series match. I wanted her in the match. I was so pissed off. So congratulations, you made me. You got my emotions where they need to be. But oh my God, I was so mad. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Sorry, I know I'm muted. They're doing this well, and I like the job that they're doing with Jada Parker. She's definitely growing on me a lot, and I'm very interested in this underground match. Unfortunately, I have a feeling Lola probably gets the win just because this is her wheelhouse. But I think we'll probably get another match after that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't see this feud ending necessarily anytime soon, which at this moment I'm fine with. But I do agree with Anika that I wanted Jada Parker to get the spot in the Iron Survivor match. So that was a little bit disappointing. That being said, I do think this underground match, and I'm not usually big on underground matches, I think this one should be good.
What would you think?
We had. Go ahead.
They have big shoes to fill because Lola versus Shayna underground was so freaking good. So I'm like, that's one thing. I'm like, okay, it's like that match was you have. It's hard to come out. I trust you girls.
Match that they've done, honestly. I mean, that may be the best underground match they've done. It was definitely my favorite. I mean, I guess it's debatable whether it was the best, but it was definitely my favorite one that they've ever done. So,
like, I trust you girls full heartedly, but it's like just know you got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
What do you think of a tire shop called Wheelhouse? Like naming a tire shop Wheelhouse.
Yeah. It would definitely be fitting. Sarah is asking Eddie Thorpe about the events last week when he put his hands on Ava, which led to her getting knocked down. Eddie says Sean and Ava saw the tape and that it wasn't his fault. He says he's going to win for his people. Lexus King walks up, tells Eddie to watch his anger issues. Eddie doesn't need advice from a man with daddy issues. Lexus says he's not his dad and he's proved it. He's going to do what his dad couldn't do and win the title. which begins tonight. And Eddie tells Lexus to not touch him and walks off. Anything about this you guys want to talk about? Lexus and Eddie Thorpe?
I
Um,
like that Lexus King looks like a normal person now, not a crazy ex rock star.
I mean, he still has the beard.
They'll go
Yeah,
down
I
a
mean,
minute.
yeah, I mean, again, it's fine what it is. You got to have stuff going on in your show. This is, an ongoing thing with Lexus King, obviously trying to show he's not his dad. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I don't know that it's hitting the way they wanted it to, but I'm not necessarily opposed to it. And I guess I'm willing to give it a little bit more time to play out. Eddie Thorpe, we'll see later because he's in the, whatchamacallit, the Iron Survivors last qualifiers match. God, he's been so up and down that I mean I don't necessarily see him versus Lexus King does nothing for me. I know that feud does nothing, and he doesn't really do a whole lot for me in general. I mean I know that he's a super talented guy, and at the same time I don't know if it's just bad booking or what, but he just doesn't necessarily move the needle for me.
I just don't
It's
know
more so
if
finding the groove.
good for
Yeah,
Eddie Thorpe to be like, dismissing and besmirching people who do have issues in a tumultuous past with bad fathers,
sure.
like there's a lot that number of people is growing more and more every year. Like that's a lot of people to,
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I had a great father, but like I understand not everybody is as blessed as I am.
yeah. So Jada is in the ring, or not? Yes, Jada Parker is in the ring. She wants a match with Lola Vice. She wants the underground match. She wants to do it right now. This is before the break. Then they come back from the break. She's telling the ropes have now been taken down. Ava comes out and says, "You can have your match, but you're not having it tonight. You're going to have it at Deadline." Lola Vice comes out. She gets in the ring. The two of them have a little back and forth. Jada says she doesn't, eventually Jada gets tired of hearing Lola talk and attacks her, and the two of them have a little squabble and it gets broken up. All leading up to the underground match tonight at Deadline. What did you guys think of this in-ring segment, furthering the segment from earlier in the show?
I had honestly forgotten that this one had happened.
are you
Okay.
serious? This is like the best thing on the show.
Ah,
All right, hold up. I'm getting stuff. Wait, I'm coming. You see my face? No, yeah, no. Okay, wait. Here it comes. I'm coming. Screw it. There we go. All right, so no, I loved everything about this. I love that it was not right after the match. It's like, why did you do this right after the match? Why? Because she had to go to her car and get her brick. That's why it took her a little bit to come back outside because she had the brick in her hand. She's like, Lola, all right, you want it? All right, let's go. And so she got the ref, and she's like, bring the ropes down. We're doing that. I know how you see me. Bring them down. So yes, I was with you, Jada, because we was both mad. We are both mad. So I loved all of this, and so and I get.
I might have been in the bathroom or something, but
And then, of course, Little Pebble has to make sure the match doesn't go off until Deadline, which is you're the general manager. That's your job. So well done. And then Lola's like, it's like, cause you think that you all big and bad. This is my house. That brick ain't gonna save you from me when we get up in here. She's like, I don't need it. Bam! It's like, so we're talking about who's gonna win this match. I wouldn't mind Jada winning 3 and out. I wouldn't mind. I don't think it's gonna hurt Lola if Jada wins this event 3 and out. And that's what I want. And I think it's gonna happen.
I think
But I
they're
had to
high on Lola.
Huh?
I think they're high on Lola.
I think they're high on both of them. But
Former MMA, like
yeah, no, I definitely think they're high on both of them. I think in this series, Jada should win. That's like I don't hate Lola, but I think in this series,
I could see her winning But 3 and out, I do not see.
So okay. So it's, they already had 2 wins in this series, right? Jada already beat Lola twice. If I'm right or wrong?
I'm trying to think. I know they wrestled once, and Jada won. I'm trying to think if they wrestled a second
They won.
time.
They wrestled again on ECW special night. It was
Oh yeah, you're
it
right.
was qualification, and Jada won that one.
You're
And I
correct.
think so. Yeah, I think letting Jada beat Lola in a underground match would not suck.
I just
Yeah.
can't see it. Lola's got to win this one. I feel like her losing an underground match would hurt Lola. Losing any other match, not really, but losing an underground match.
Well, I thought.
To be...
Well, I thought that Shayna losing an underground match was like, even though they're they're both MMA, but I thought that was Shayna's match to win, Shayna Baszler. Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? So you do something like you take a Lola Vice and you put her over Shayna Baszler in a match that, in theory, I mean, yes, they're both MMA people from MMA, but in some regards is built for someone like a Shayna Baszler, right? And you put her over, okay, she's now going to be the younger star, she's going to be whatever, but then you don't use her right at all. You don't do anything with her, and then you basically bring her back to NXT, and now you're going to have her take a loss or 2, 3 in a row to Jada Parker. Like, for a minute you brought her to the main roster, you looked like you were high on her, you didn't really, I mean, other than you let her beat Shayna, and then from there you've done nothing with her, and now she's going to lose a third. I do think that a third loss for her does hurt. That being said, I don't have a problem with it either way. I mean, and especially in a underground match, if Jada Parker beats Lola Vice in an underground match clean, it is obvious who WWE has decided to push between those two, in my opinion, and it would be Jada Parker. I mean, I think that would be, which doesn't, in my opinion, make some sense, because 3 months ago you were super high on Lola Vice, so it just seems kind of weird. I'm not sure I understand why you're not. I can understand being high on both. I guess I just don't understand why all of a sudden it seems like Jada's at the expense of Lola. So it is what it is, but I'm looking forward to this match, and I'm not a big fan of underground matches, but I think this should be fun. I'm a big Jada Parker fan. I mean, I like Lola Vice, but I'm a huge Jada Parker fan. So, I think this should be a lot of fun. I thought this segment was very good.
Yeah.
Let's see, Carmen and Brindley and Dion.
I feel like if Lola loses, you might as well just release Lola. There's no salvaging her if she loses an underground match.
Dang.
I mean, that's putting a lot out about releasing her out of it, but yeah, I mean, it does feel like.
I feel like that's
what is she
at that point.
What does she do from here? I mean, what can she do from here, right? I mean,
it's like Matt Riddle losing a fight pit match. Like, it's like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
I thought he did though.
Carmen. Yeah. Carmen and Brindley.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. We're good. All right.
Carmen and Brindley and Dion are backstage. Brindley's taking Carmen or Carmen is thanking Brindley and Dion for advice about Ashanti and how she was done for getting sucked in because of Nikita, blah, 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 blah. This is more of this. Now we're back to the bad part of this again, which is just a bad backstage segment. At least I thought it was okay. We had the match for a half a second. The match itself wasn't terrible. I thought it might be over, but it's clearly not, because now we're back to having these segments again. So this is basically what you get. Carmen says he's a player, but it's sweet, and walks off. This is basically trying to build to the match later in the night between Carmen and Nikita, but at the same time, I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, it's still bad. Anything either?
It is what it is. It is what it is. Love stories or whatever are the easiest thing to do if you don't have anything to do with people. I am not invested in any of this. Like not even a little bit. But hey, people need to do stuff during the show. So to all three of y'all, All right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about it, right? It's developmental. You've got people that you're trying to see if they can be anything, and in theory, it's not just developmental for them wrestling and promos and character work. In theory, it's developmental for storylines and to see what ones might work and what ones you can get traction with and maybe whatever and
Yeah.
who can do what. So you throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what works. And unfortunately, the problem that I have with this is that I think Sean thinks this is working because it's been going on now for like 6 to 8 weeks, if not more, and it's not working.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the disconnect is. Like, why do you keep doing it? It didn't work. It's not working. Stop doing it. For some reason, it feels like he thinks it's working, and there's some sort of disconnect there. So
I guess
even if you need
also
people to do
like
something, this has had a long enough chance to not really do anything. Let's move on and give them something else now. If you like these people, then let's come up with something else for them at this point. I mean,
yeah, I think also like it's not a bad story. Well, the storyline is somewhat interesting. So I guess the matter of how do we get out? Maybe another question is how do we get out of it? Where it's just like, okay, now I'm all for blow it up and start over. But if you don't want to do that, I kind of get okay. How do we slowly get out of this situation? So maybe that's what they're doing
Sure.
now. They're trying to figure out how to get out of this situation.
So now we've got Axiom and Frazier, and this is funny to me. This has been these guys are actually starting to grow on me because of their dynamic together. So
Yes.
before Frazier was going, they were both kind of in the Iron Challenge survivors, but Frazier was not really caring about the tag team situation, even though they're tag team champs. And Axiom was pissy about it because he thinks they should be focused on that. And then Axiom had a little success in the survive, and so now Axiom's focused on his he took the loss, but he has the last opportunity because he's in the last chance match to be in the Iron Survivor match at Deadline. And so he's backstage and he's excited. But now, even though whatchamacallit is in the Iron Survivor match, Frazier is now focused on the tag team stuff that's been going on that he hasn't been paying attention to for the last couple of weeks that Axiom's been focused on. So clearly the story is that when one's interested in one thing, the other's focused on the other. So here Axiom's talking to him, and Frazier's like ignoring him, and Axiom yells at him, and Frazier says, "What? I'm paying attention to the tag team." And Axiom is just perplexed. He's pissed off because he's like, "I've been doing it." Okay, we're not even going to go there. So, this goes back and forth, and then ultimately, Frazier says to him, "Let's see." He has, he tells him you can pull it off, and they decide that Axiom's going to ultimately can win this last shot and be in the Iron Survivor match. What do you think of this little backstage segment?
It feels like I love this because it feels like a thing of anything you can do, I can do better, and more so like Axiom is trying to prove to Nathan like we're equals here. So I am so like in a tag team. Like it feels like you want your partner to acknowledge you. It's like right now, like acknowledge me. I
Right.
Not even like I don't even think I'm better than you, but I do think that I'm a good freaking equal partner to the situation. So I love Axiom's position in this. It's like, all right, it feels like I'm only doing this, trying to get into this match because you are getting into this match, and I'm tired of you feeling like I'm the lesser of the two, and I love that. Like you said, I love the dynamic of that.
Yeah. Next. Oh, Sammy, anything you want to say or no?
I actually wanted to bring up Matt Riddle again.
All right.
Okay.
When Matt Riddle did lose a Fight Pit match, it was against Timothy Thatcher, and 2 days later he was moved to the main roster. Like,
Yep.
If Lola Vice loses this underground match, like, we got to be hearing on Friday, Lola Vice is now on SmackDown.
Well, did she get drafted in September? I thought she was already on the main roster.
Oh.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
Lola Vice.
Yes, Lola Vice was moved not during the draft, but I swear to God, she was up at the main roster not too long ago. She was just there.
I feel like was that because she was facing Shayna and she was trying to be an interference?
Yeah,
I thought
that's
I
right.
swear that they called her up, but
No,
maybe I.
they called up 3 women. She was not one of the 3 women. Lyra Valkyria, Blair Davenport, and Purse Lady.
Kiana Jordan or Kiana
Kiana
James.
James.
Oh, the porn account. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those were the 3 singles women that got moved up. Maybe you're thinking of Elektra Lopez?
No, I thought it was a little Vice, but clearly I am mistaken. But either way,
it might have been just a segment where, yeah, she was just confronting Shayna for their match. It might have been just that.
Either way, was there something else you wanted to say, Sammy, or did you were still saying something about
if she's losing this, she can't stay on NXT. Just like Matt Riddle when he lost the 5-pit match, he could not stay on NXT anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. He knocked out 2 of Timothy Thatcher's teeth, but he lost the match that was his match to lose.
Right.
If you lose one of those matches, like, you can't stay. You have to go. You are dead on this roster. Like, either she has to leave the main roster or she has to leave the company. She can't.
You're still you're doing a lot though. It's still a lot that you're saying in your mouth. Like, dang,
a lot to me. Like,
your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid.
So then we had the #1 tag team battle royal, which we've been having brawling backstage and everywhere throughout NXT for the last couple of weeks, basically ultimately leading to this. This is not your traditional tag team battle royal, though. If one person gets eliminated, the team is not eliminated. Ultimately, both people have to be eliminated. So it is the family, Luca and Stax, OTM, Briggs and Inamura, which I really like. I love the 2 of them together. Hank and Tank, Gallus, and the No Quarter Catch Crew. So those are basically the 7 teams that are involved in this. As you can imagine, with all these guys, there's a whole bunch of back and forth. They're not going to spend the time telling everybody who got eliminated. Ultimately, the winners, surprisingly coming out of this, were Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights. Tavian Heights got eliminated earlier in the match, but Miles Bourne managed to make it through to the end and get the win. He eliminated Tank at the very end. Tank and Miles Bourne were the final 2, which I think is an interesting choice of the final 2.
I was happy just on the fact that I didn't want Tank to win.
Yeah. So Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights, No Quarter Catch Crew, are the #1 contenders to Axiom and Frazier's NXT Tag Team Championships. What do you guys think of this Battle Royal and the fact that it's the No Quarter Catch Crew that got the win here?
I don't see them being the champions.
So real quick, I love that. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like this is how AEW does their tag team battle royals, where it's not both. If it has to be both people eliminated to get eliminated. Look at y'all stealing from other people. Look at y'all stealing from other people. Hey, I'm not knocking it. Look, just acknowledge it. There we go.
Oh, they will. It's not Roman Reigns. They will never acknowledge.
But so with North Quarter Catch Crew, I do think that these 2 have the most personality. So I'm not mad at them winning. Should they beat Axiom and Frazier? I'm gonna say no. I'm like, no.
I mean, I'd like it if they did. I don't think it'll
happen. All know you like it if they did.
I'd like it if they did.
We all know this. Yes.
Listen, there was one. I'm sorry to say this. There was really one real quality tag team in this battle royal, and they did not win, and that's Gallus. I mean, all the other tag teams are okay. They're serviceable, but really most of them are subpar mid-card teams, and they haven't even booked anything better than that, let alone performed anything better than that. So
I miss Gallus's old theme song so badly. Like that thing was a banger. Like I could just listen to that theme song in my free time. And then they
I mean,
changed.
go ahead.
Oh, well, I finished my point.
No, I was just
What?
saying. I mean,
Oh,
I really like Briggs and Inamura together. I was really hoping if Gallus wasn't going to get the win, that they were going to get the win. But yeah, I mean, I'm extremely disappointed that it was no quarter catch crew. Just not again, and I say this is not. There's nothing wrong necessarily with Tavian Heights and Miles Bourne in a vacuum. In fact, I really enjoyed Tavian Heights when he first came in. I was a little less when he joined No Quarter Catch Crew. It was what it was. Um, but just that No Quarter Catch Crew, the name is too long. It's too bulky. They haven't really been booked all that great. Although tonight seemed to be No Quarter Catch Crew night because Ren Sinclair got the win earlier. So technically, Ren Sinclair is got the win and is moving on to the women's Iron Survivor match. And here, Bourne and Tavian Heights get the win, and now they get a match with Axiom and Frazier. I think that these two winning, unfortunately, to me, shows that Axiom and Frazier are most likely going to win. The only reason that they wouldn't win is if this is the breakup point. They lose because they have a falling out during the match and Axiom or Frazier walks away or one of them hits the other one somehow and their falling out costs them the titles. Otherwise, there's in my mind, there's no world where Axiom and Frazier lose to Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights right now. So, I really thought I think the best thing for the NXT tag team division would have been to have Gallus get the win here because they're really the solid actual tag team here that deserves to have the opportunity, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I think that this worked a little. I think it's backfired a little bit. I think Sean and NXT was really hoping to show, oh, look, we have a really strong tag division. And unfortunately, I don't know that it did that. I think it really highlighted ultimately how they really don't have a whole lot of good teams. They might have a lot of warm bodies, but not a lot of really good teams. So I don't know.
I wouldn't say all that. Okay, if I had to compare this to the casino battle gauntlet with the tag teams, I think this is maybe a tie or a step better because I remember casino gauntlet and it's like, oh crap, nobody's energetic for none of these teams. Where it's like basically when you hear the theme music, it's like, oh wow, nobody is like excited. At least with these, I know who the people are. I am excited about the prospects of it. To the North Carolina Catch Crew winning, I'm gonna chalk it up to let them have let Nathium and Frazier have the belt one last time, and then maybe the whatever takeover. I'm still calling it takeovers. Whatever takeovers in January. Let them have that. Let them lose at that takeover because I'm not ready for them to break up just yet. And I do believe that if you have them lose the belts, that is them breaking up.
You think so? I mean, yeah, I assume so too. I mean, I assume that them losing the belts would be a breakup. The question would then become: do we get a feud between the two of them in any way, shape, or form? Any kind of Axiom Frazier program fallout? Yeah. Does that do anything for you? I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I mean, it all just depends on how they write the story and how it all plays out ultimately. But yeah, I mean, I imagine they're going to get the win here. I mean, the idea that they're going to put the belts on No Quarter Catch Crew right now. I mean, Bourne and Heights have done nothing but win one battle royal match. I mean, they've done nothing to position them in any way, shape, or form to make me feel like they're ready to be or should be champions. Now, to be fair, those belts are basically nothing at the moment because they're, Axiom. I mean, Axiom and Frazier are a solid team, but they just don't have any competition, and there's no real good tag teams other than Gallus out there. So it's hard to really gauge like anything. Your tag team division is really, really bad. So.
I got to hear from Anika what she didn't like about the gauntlet match, though.
I didn't say I didn't like the gauntlet match. I said that you can tell that those teams that were in the gauntlet match, besides Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher and the Outrunners, which was very much so shocking, no one had a reaction to the teams. That's what I meant. Where I'm like no one knew who, no one was really hyped and said, "Ooh, these people should win." And with that, I think that's the problem. And so I like the craziness of all the tag teams facing each other and brawling in the parking lot. That kind of hypes everyone up at once. And I do think that AEW needs that for their tag team division.
I mean, I'll try and run through the names. You had the Outrunners. You had Osprey and Fletcher. You had Grizzled Young Veterans. You had Top Flight. You had Massey and Mansois. You had the Acclaimed. You had the Righteous, and you had the Kingdom, and you had FTR. And like, personally, I take all of those teams over any of the teams that were here.
I didn't say who was better. I said who was over. And no offense, when everyone's music hit, no one had a big pop except the Outrunners and Osprey. And Osprey is not. Yes, he was with United Empire, but when he got to AEW, he was not supposed to be in a tag team.
I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying. I mean, if the crowd isn't going to, the part of the, I mean, okay, it's not, but a indirect consequence of a gauntlet match is the fact that you get teams coming out and staggered. And so in theory, you get opportunities for each team to get a pop, come out, have their moment coming from behind the screen. Where here, you're basically starting off with all the teams kind of anonymous, you know who they are, but anonymous coming out to the ring, no entrance, and just in the ring and started off. If you're not going to, if the crowd isn't going to give you the payoff from the indirect consequence of having the staggered entrances and giving you pops and showing that people are over, or they only cheer for one or two teams, then yeah, I mean, I can see how potentially the overall excitement of just having 10 men in the ring at one time, because I thought the crowd was into this, could be a little bit, could make the match a little more interesting, I suppose. That being said, I also agree with what Sammy said, which is and I don't think Anika was not agreeing with it. Short of Gallus, and I don't even know where they stand in comparison to the teams that were in the gauntlet. They're probably better than the Acclaim. They're probably better than maybe a couple other teams that whatever. But there's nobody else in this match that matches up to the teams that were in that gauntlet match. But I think you were talking more about the excitement of the crowd. So, I mean, again, I don't know I don't think that's why they do the gauntlet matches, but that's an indirect consequence, is that you do get the staggered entrances. And in theory, you should be able to, each team should get a pop and a little bit of, when they come down to the ring. And I do remember that that crowd was definitely not into that match as much as they should have been.
I feel like that's kind of AEW on a whole right now, too. Like, I feel like a big fix for them is to book smaller venues. If you have a smaller venue, then it's more filled out, and if it's more filled out, then the volume seems louder.
Yeah,
like the NXT crowd, like there's only like 100 people there, but it's a very tiny venue, so like those 100 people, you hear them.
Yeah, but then like you go, but then you go to people who get pops, and it's like, oh, we can definitely hear it when need be.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna 100% say it's because of the crowds as well. Because even with the large crowds, and yeah, they should go to smaller venues. They still have enough pops to know who's over and who's not.
So with Red getting the win earlier, I mean, a win. She backed her way into the Iron Survivor women's match, and no quarter, and Miles Bourne, Gideon Heights getting the #1 contender spot. Does it feel like they're trying to further push No Quarter Catch Crew? Is that what you think the goal is of this?
I think it is.
I wonder if they will be able to get Billy Reeves on TV again. Because, like,
I mean, if they were able to get him in and they were actually able on a regular basis and have him be like their full-time manager on TV all the time, I would definitely be way more engaged than I am at the moment.
Yes,
That being said, they still need to change the name. No Quarter Catch Crew is in itself isn't terrible. It's just clunky. I mean, it's clunky. I understand what you're going for, but it's too long, it's too clunky, and it's a little bit too. I think it's a little too over. Um, at the risk of insulting wrestling fans, not the wrestling fans are dumb. I just think it's a little too heady, if that makes sense. Like it's a little too. I don't know, but let's see. Then came what I think was supposed to be the biggest segment of the show, and for me was the worst segment of the show. Not the worst segment. We had the Friendly Reese Ashante segment, but here is you get the little clip of Trick and Ringe and Eric Bischoff all getting to the arena earlier in the day. And then here comes Eric Bischoff. And he says, I'm back. Blah, 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 blah. This is what I hear. It's that Charlie Brown. When Eric Bischoff's talking, he's basically giving you lip service about how he loves NXT. The future is here at NXT. I know a little bit about wrestling because I ruined the WCW 20 years ago.
Now we admit stuff. Now we not ashamed that we was doing that. Okay, all right, bet. Did a whole freaking segment of who killed WCW, and you want to blame. Now you want to blame on NXT. Oh, okay, all right.
He was running WCW for a decade. Like it was only those last 2 years that it went downhill when they brought in what's his face?
No.
Vince Russo.
Eric Bischoff said you kill WCW. So you just admitted that you the one who did it.
Everyone can have their opinion and you can say what you want. My opinion is the minute that Hogan and NWO was formed was the end of WCW. I understand at the moment. It was the biggest thing in WCW, brought them a ton of people, all those things in a vacuum at the time. It was great for ticket sales. In the long run, the ripple and butterfly effect from it all ruined WCW, in my opinion.
I don't think the problem was NWO. I think the problem was the management of NWO.
Yes.
They basically got to run roughshod, half the roster, then became part of NWO. All that was mistakes. If you had kept it to 5 or 6 guys, I think it would have been fine.
I like Kevin Nash, but why did you think letting him be a booker was a great idea and he is still wrestling? Maybe after I think the biggest thing about Triple H we all learned of, if he giving him the pin while he's wrestling, no. After he retires and he goes to actually push other people, yes. No, you never give someone the pin who is still working for you. Because and then no fault of Kevin Nash, just
I think there's exceptions to that rule though.
Who?
Like Bryan Danielson.
He was retiring. This was the last. When Kevin Nash had the pin, he was still in the prime of his life. He was still a prime wrestler. He wasn't trying to retire.
He wasn't looking at retirement anytime soon.
Yeah, so it's so if you're retiring, then sure, you're going to be more lenient. But you have to be a real selfless person to not book yourself and you're wrestling. No offense. No offense. But that was just stupid. That was just dumb.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's not something. I mean, being a wrestling fan, it's definitely not something I think I would be able to do. I mean, I would definitely want to be involved, especially if I go to wrestling.
Words of Lexus King's daddy, thank you, Mr. Bookerman.
Needless to say, Eric Bischoff is there. He says, two of the men that are bright, two of the brightest men that. Two of the men that have a very bright future when I talk about the future of NXT are Ridge Holland and Trick Williams. Both men come down. He says he's been extremely excited to see this. He wanted to see both men up close and personal. And then Trick and Ridge end up basically talking to each other. Eric Bischoff just basically stands there and does nothing. They finally end up getting a deadline. Ridge has a deadline. He will put Trick down to become the new champion. Trick ultimately decks Ridge and starts beating him. They go to the outside. Um, and let's see. Redeemer through the table. Redeemer through the table from Ridge. Eric Bischoff, this is why this was bad. As far as Trick and Ridge goes, I don't care about that match. They've done nothing to me. They've done nothing for me to like Ridge Holland. Destroying Chase U does nothing for me. I didn't like Chase U to begin with.
Retiring Big E. Like, how dare you?
Exactly. So he already has a bitter taste in my mouth as far as the fact that we know he's already potentially dangerous. So that's one. And Trick is young in his career. Knock on wood, this goes off without a hitch. Nothing happens. But heaven forbid he does something to Trick. Trick's very young in his career. All those kinds of things, like, it would be terrible. So, there is always those concerns.
I
have a positive note from the segment, though. And that's Eric Bischoff calling Trick Williams the evolution of the revolution. I was like, that's good.
I thought that, first of all, why is he here? I guess he's here to try to hype this matchup, which it didn't do. One, he seemed lackluster. He didn't seem like he wanted to be there. This is Bischoff I'm talking about. He didn't really have any energy. He seemed like he was there going through the motions, and I don't know. Why are you on NXT going through the motions? Do you need money that bad? I mean, what's going on that you're here doing this spot about something we all know you don't care about Trick Williams or Ridge Holland, dude. Really, Eric Bischoff gives a shit about either of those two guys? Not a hope in hell. So somebody called him and said, can you come do this? And he said, sure, how much are you paying me? Or, I mean, he's not under contract with WWE, right?
The last time he was there, he was the fall guy for SmackDown's ratings.
So,
wow. But,
and then he did nothing. I mean, he was lackluster. I mean, he put over NXT, but it was like there wasn't anything. It didn't feel genuine. It just felt like he was going through the motions. And then he said all of he was there he spoke for 2 minutes, then they came down to the ring, and then he just basically sat there and did nothing. Well, they did their little thing, which was fine, but at the same time, I don't, okay. Why are you here? What was this supposed to do?
So, breaking the fourth wall, I heard they're supposed to do more with this segment. Like, it was supposed to be more of an NWO reunion, but something happened where they couldn't do the full thing. Not sure what happened, but they said that was supposed to be what happened. So maybe that's what happened where what they originally wanted to do did happen.
Yeah, because X-Pac was there and he didn't even come out during this segment. He was there earlier where he still was up to Trick, but he didn't even come. Speaking of X-Pac, is there something going? I mean, why does he talk so slow? Oh, Javon, you're right. That was later. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, it was supposed to be a full on. It was supposed to be a full on NWO reunion, but they didn't do the full on reunion because something happened. So maybe that's why you didn't get the full, Eric Bischoff effect. But in this segment,
what sort of reunion you gonna have anyways? Is the reason because Kevin Nash couldn't show up?
Probably. I mean, no offense, but just X-Pac and Eric Bischoff, that's not an NWO reunion. You gotta have one of the top three people. So
and Hogan is a kind of a reach for NXT.
Oh hell no! Sorry. That's a hell of a reach.
Hogan should be a reach for anybody. He shouldn't be in anybody's mind at this moment in time being associated with them. I'm sure there are plenty of people that are happy to, but I mean, he shouldn't be.
And as for Big Show, he's signed to AEW, so you're not getting him.
Big Show is not a big individual person, even though he was for a hot second.
He was the fourth member, right? He was in before. No, maybe it was Bischoff and then it was Big Show. I don't know. It happened a long time ago.
It happened a long
Big Show was in it before X-Pac was.
But more so within this segment, I think they, like you said, they needed more heat with Ridge Holland versus Trick, and even with Trick, and I feel like it was more so with Ridge, because when Ridge started and the fans were booing, you hear Eric Bischoff like, "Don't let them affect you. Don't let them affect you." So like more so he was like coaching Eric what's his name, Ridge, a little bit. So maybe that's why he was there. Or just like, let's if Ridge didn't fulfill his speaking, Eric is right there to pick it up. That's what it felt like this was. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, like I'm with you. I said it last week. There was nothing to be like. There was no anniversary of NWO or anniversary of WCW to have Eric Bischoff here. So just him just
Right.
popping up and saying, "I'm going to do this segment," was just weird
Right.
and out of the ordinary.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
hey, like he was here and it was fine, and then this led to a fight and continue. Sorry, continue. I'll let you say it.
No, I mean, no, you were right. I mean, I just, it is what it is. I mean, it's, okay. I think that they were hoping that this was going to be the big segment of the night because this is their go home show with their WWE tag team or with their WWE World, or their NXT World Champion, and
Yes.
his opponent facing off with a big star big star Eric Bischoff being brought in to hype it all up. So, I think they expected more from this, and for me, it definitely I thought it missed the mark. So, let's see. We then had a video recap of Ridge and Trick going on. Sarah's outside with Trick as. I'm sorry. Sarah says Trick is taken out in an ambulance, and
Yeah.
Ava went with him. And
So
that obviously, what does that mean for their match on Sunday? We find out from Ava gives a call later, and we'll get the update. But
yeah, so real quick, we had so after this in ring bout for bout, they started fighting outside the ring, and then Ridge went like either did he put Trick through a table or he did something where basically his neck is hurt. And they did the whole
he put him through the table. Yeah,
the whole rigmarole of having Trick stretched out and everything. Like you said, and that's when Ava was like, "I'm going with Trick to make sure he's fine." You can tell we have to really put a whole lot of effort in having this matchup, because like if you have to put this much effort, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Like no offense, I want to know who's trying to push Ridge. I want to know, cause cause this is a whole lot of energy we put into someone, and don't think he's worth it.
Going over the show, I'm realizing it wasn't as good as I originally thought it was.
Yeah, me too. Now that we're going over it, I agree. I had a better feeling about it watching it than I do going over it now.
It was just this one segment, but let's go.
Then we had Nikita Lyons versus Carmen Pet.
Two segments. Okay.
Petrovich. 3 now, because this is a continuation of the Brindley Reese segment from earlier, which was bad. So this is ultimately the match that is the fallout of the segment with Ashanti, where a couple of weeks ago, Nikita made her return and basically was flirting with Ashanti, trying to drive a wedge between Ashanti and whatchamacallit, why I mentioned Carmen Petrovich. And so this is basically the fallout of it. Here's their match. Again, I couldn't really care less. This is part of the storyline that I don't care. Carmen did get the win here, which I was happy about because I like Carmen better than Nikita. So at least Nikita didn't come back, wasn't the slimy person that interjected herself and then got the win. At least the heel got, took the loss here. So good for Carmen. But, it is what it is.
So let me say this. I did not know who Carmen was until she came into her intro. And I'm like, hold up. This is Chick with the Ninja Sword. Back when they did the breakout tournament and we had all these girls standing in a row, she was the one who stood out the most. I'm like, okay, she has a shred of personality. She has something to work with. What the frick are we doing with her? So we reduced the chick, the cool chick with the sword to being in a love triangle? This is what we're doing?
Didn't she make it to the semifinals?
I'm not sure. I think she did, but I'm like, I remember her in the breakout. I'm like, okay, okay, out of all these cheery, happy 20-year-olds that don't have a personality yet, she actually had a bit of a personality. I was actually hyped up for her. I'm like, to see that, I'm like, oh, hold up. I like last year, beginning of this year, I was not full in on NXT, so I kind of dropped off. So I'm like, this is the trick of the sword.
The
I'm
finalists
not serious.
were Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan.
Yes.
But I'm like, y'all are, so like, I was very hard about that. I'm like, this is the trick of the sword that had promise, and
A
y'all.
lot of these girls are. I mean, I think what Brindley Reese was part of that too, if I'm not mistaken. She was part of that tournament as well. I think there's a fair amount of these women that were a part of that tournament that have been just kind of now doing other stuff on NXT or whatever. So, but yeah, so Carmen did get the win here over Nikita Lyons, which is good, in my opinion, and I hope that we don't have to see that again at the end, because Ashante did come out towards the end of the match and ultimately, take the spear from Lyons that allowed Carmen to hit her finisher and get the win. She was mad that Ashante pushed her out of the way and took the spear and basically left without him, which is whatever. So she walks off without him. So a little trouble in paradise there, I guess. At the same time, they've never really been
Kofi
hooked up,
Kingston.
whatever. So let's see. Then we have Shawn Spears backstage. He's telling Nico he did a good job on his attack on Tony. Brooks wants to know what's next, and Spears says it's about the long game. And then Gigi Dolan walks by with Tatum Paxley, and Spears basically looks at Gigi and says, "I want you to join our group." Under the subtext was, "We need a woman in our group, and we want Gigi Dolan." So it looks like Shawn Spears is trying to recruit Gigi Dolan. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was pretty humorous what Tatum Paxley said. Like, I think that's the best line that Tatum Paxley has ever delivered in her entirety of wrestling.
So Shawn Spears is creepy and he's coming for me?
No.
And
That's pretty
coming
creepy.
from me.
Oh.
It's like, he's creepy.
Oh, that's coming from me. Yes,
and that's coming from me. It's like,
right. Yeah.
That was hilarious. That was.
Shawn Spears is definitely building himself a little faction, which is fine. And, all factions need a woman. So Gigi Dolan, I always thought for me, even with Mandy Rose, I thought she was the best of the bunch. So when they were Fatal Attraction. So I like Gigi Dolan. And I like Shawn Spears, Brooks Jensen. It is what it is. Nico is what it is. We'll see. I think I like Brooks a little bit more than Nico, but just because he has a little bit more personality, I think. But none of this is bad. I mean, and I like Shawn Spears. So we'll see what ends up happening. Anything you guys want to say? Anything else you want to say?
I struggle to think of who would be a better fit than Gigi Dolan, honestly.
This I agree with Henley. They are kind of creepy. Like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, hold up. So what is? I need a mission statement from this group where it's like, what? Why are we together? Why are y'all? What is your common goal? Cause right now y'all just look like two creepy dudes that just like especially with old boy with the beard, your eyes is bugged out. So please give me a mission statement soon enough of why y'all have come together in this scenario.
Come together.
Next we had the NXT Spotlight was with the No Quarter Catch crew. Charlie's got his little title, Heritage Cup trophy, and Ren Sinclair is happy because she's got her spot in the Iron Survivor match and she claims she's going to win. And Miles Bourne and Tavian Heist are now the number one contenders to the tag team championships. So they're all backstage, and Ren says this has worked out exactly as planned. Like we said, they're trying to push these guys and they're trying to show that they have some personality and give them some life. Did this do anything to make you like them anymore? What do you think of this little segment?
I like it because deadline's today, right? So it's like, let's try to, even though we just did the gauntlet, let's try to hype them up as much as possible and before the match tonight. So let's have a little segment of why this team matters and why you think they should beat Nathium and Axiom. So this was fine. It was totally fine.
Next, we had Izzy Dame versus Gigi Dolan. Spears is out to watch. Gigi gets the win in pretty short notice. Not a whole lot to talk about as far as the match goes. Izzy is what she is. Gigi, I think, is definitely, this was a Gigi showcase for the most part. I wouldn't say it was a squash because Izzy Dame definitely had some offense, but this was definitely a Gigi Dolan showcase. And, for Sean Spears, kind of a Gigi Dolan audition because he's out there being creepy and wants her to join him. Do they even have a name yet? Have they even given themselves any kind of name or anything yet? No, they're just,
I don't think
okay.
so.
They're just what they are. So, what do you think of this match? Anything about this match?
Gigi is bad, and ring rust happened, but she looks pretty good. She looks pretty good to come back. Like, all right, all systems go. Didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. It's like, oh crap, she needs some more work. No, she looks pretty good. So, like, if y'all want to put her in any capacity of I'll say the women's North American Championship picture, I'm here for it.
Spears is the chairman. So, how about the table?
No.
No?
As a name for the group, no. No. Next.
A table. So here we get Javon Evans. He's backstage with Sarah. He's extremely happy. He is in the last Survivor, or he's going to be in the last chance qualifier. And X-Pac comes in to give him a little pep talk about how he's been watching him and he's impressed. And he believes Javon can do it, and they're too sweet. I like X-Pac. I'm a huge fan of X-Pac. I have been in the past. He looked a little rough tonight. I don't know what was going on. Like, his speech was very slow, and it didn't. There was no life to him. It felt like, and he felt like he was kind of stumbling a little over his words. This didn't work for me. What about you?
So, like, going back to this was not the plan. They had something else in mind. Like, you have to be very, like, unless you're good with improv, it is what it is. You gotta be, it is what it is, right? So it's like, all right, we love Javon. It is what it is. Just go out there and have somewhat of a talk with him. Like, all right, bet. So it's like, it's fine. It was fine.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose when you're X-Pac and you've done whatever you've done, doing a little backstage segment with Javon Evans on NXT doesn't necessarily get your blood pumping. But the reality is that, you're being paid to be on TV. You got to show a little bit more life and at least, like, you care somewhat about what you're doing. Because the impression I got was that you didn't really care about what he was doing. So, which is how I felt about Eric Bischoff, too. It felt like he was just there kind of going through the motions. If you're just going to be there going through the motions, don't come. Like, if you're not going to, because to me, it harms more than it helps. So, that's just my personal opinion.
Be better on the mic than the developmental talent,
or even if it's a spontaneous moment, at least give him some kind of bullet points of what they hit in this segment. It's like, all right, I know it's spontaneous, but Javon's in here, Survival Series, talk about something from WCW that was Survival Series-esque. Definitely give him, don't let him just drown. Give him some kind of point to hit while you're in this segment.
Yeah.
But
and 1-2-3 Kid, when he came in, he won that match against Scott Hall, like Razor Ramon.
Exactly. Let him hit that point. You. But then also that also leads to people not sure how much Sean was involved with this, but that's why you need writers who love wrestling. Because if you love wrestling, you like writers, you could be the person who's like, here's your bullet point to hit this point, and it'll be a better segment.
Here I was as a little kid just starting out in the biz and took down one of the biggest, baddest dudes on the face of the earth. And
yeah, nope, all of this totally understandable.
So our last match of the night was our second last chance Iron Survivors match. This was the men's last chance. Lexus King, Axiom, Eddie Thorpe, and Cedric Alexander. The winner gets the last spot in the men's Iron Survivors match tonight at Deadline. As you can imagine, with 4 guys, there was a lot of back and forth. All guys had their spots. I thought Cedric looked solid. I was really hoping Cedric was going to get the win.
I
Ultimately,
went in assuming it was either gonna be Lexus or Eddie.
ultimately Eddie Thorpe did get the win and does get the spot. Um, I didn't see that. I didn't think Eddie was going to get the win just because of the way they book him all the time. But at the same time, we saw the surprise earlier with Ren Sinclair. So I guess here was what I would call another surprise. Um, I don't know that it does anything to make me excited about him being in the Iron Survivors match at all. But this was a solid match for what it was. Essentially the main event wrestling match of the night of the show. So it didn't do, I don't think that it did enough in and of itself to redeem the show overall. For me, this was a very down week for me for NXT, but I thought it was okay. The match itself was solid. What do you guys think?
No, I'm with Sammy. They had a spotlight on Eddie Thorpe, so when he went, I was surprised. I was disappointed because Axiom was killing it. And I'm like, oh, just by chance, come on, let him join the tag team partner. I'm like, really? You're gonna let him look like, come on, man. I wanted Axiom to win, but great match nonetheless. Then you have him leaving. He's looking at, it's like Nathan's already out there trying to be supportive. He was kind of supportive, whatever. But after the match, all 4 of the Survival Series people are jaw jacking, which includes Axiom, while he's jaw jacking. Nathan's, including Nathan, who's actually in the Survivor Series match. So Nathan's jaw jacking with the other opponents. Axiom looks at his belt and he's looking because the tag team opponents are behind him, but Nathan's not paying attention, and Axiom's like, he's just looking at the belt like, we gonna lose. I feel like you don't have he has a mask on, but I feel like his position was, we don't lose these daggone titles, aren't we? I feel like his face said, we don't lose these. And so, while Nathan's just jaw jacking and holding the belt up. I love this match. This was a great main event, and I'm actually I'm not gonna be here, boo, but I'm actually surprised. I'm actually hyped for Deadline tonight. Like, this is gonna be interesting. More so,
I think it's going to be a solid deadline.
The Deadline match, yeah.
One thing I felt at the end of this was what happened to Apollo Crews, and then to watch Friday Night SmackDown, just watch him get beat up at the beginning of the show backstage by the Bloodline. It's just like, oh, there he is.
I will say this. I love Cedric in this match. I'm like, there's a Cedric we all know and love. I love that he's actually getting to wrestle even though he's not winning. I love that he's getting to wrestle, and he showed like, I'm like, so like, yeah, him losing was kind of like, I know what y'all are heading at, but don't know, let him get in the match. Come on.
Apollo Crews is in that unfortunate situation though, where they fired his tag team partner, and that's like, oh, what do we got for you? You get beat up backstage. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now, hopefully. Like, hopefully they'll figure it out. Hopefully.
I don't have high hopes. Like, honestly, like, I think things look pretty grim and dire for Apollo Crews on the main roster. Like, send him back to NXT.
Yeah. All right.
Ava FaceTimes Robert Stone and Stevie Turner and says that Trick is adamant that the match is still on. Ava's with him at the hospital. Trick says he's still going through with the match. We get Roxanne Perez walking backstage. Cora Jade is pissed at Stevie Turner and Robert Stone and says that that everyone is against her. Storms off. Eddie walks in and says that Ava did the right thing by not suspending him and that he's going to be the Iron Survivor, and leaves. Then we get Roxanne Perez essentially in the ring with the microphone talking about how she's going to defeat whoever wins the Women's Iron Survivors match and becomes the #1 contender. She talks about Ren Sinclair getting the win earlier. Ultimately, Sol Ruka comes out. They have a little back and forth. Zarya comes out. Stephanie comes out. Julia comes out. Ren comes out. They are all here for a final face-off melee, leading up to the Women's Iron Survivor match and the winner getting a shot ultimately at Roxanne Perez. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think that was basically it. They just all fight, and then I'm trying to remember if there was anything 70s here. I'm looking at the notes. Roxanne is out of the ring, poses, the others brawl. Apparently, I think that was basically it. They just went out with everyone brawling at the very end.
So-
A solid segment. I mean, Roxanne. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, yeah. So I was kind of mad because all the girls were brawling each other. I'm like, yes, y'all are opponents, but the chick with the belt didn't throw to everybody. How about we hit her first before we start hitting each other? That was just me. And then out of
Right,
all
yeah.
people, Ren Sinclair's the smartest person who actually hit Roxanne with the belt and then hold the championship up. I'm like, please don't just be what you call a push for Sinclair. Please don't just be a push for Sinclair. Come on, she's the only person who actually hit Roxanne. The main reason why you're having this match. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Just please don't do that.
No.
Please don't.
No. No, I think the Iron Survivors match should be really, really good. I'm excited for it. I'm assuming either Julia or Stephanie's going to come out of that. And I imagine either one's going to probably beat Roxanne Perez. My guess is it's Julia, but I don't know. We'll end up seeing. But I'm excited for that. I think that's the match that I'm most excited for Deadline tonight. Overall, I thought this week was down. I think that they're. Well, to be fair, maybe it wasn't supposed to be their biggest segment because it wasn't their main event segment. Maybe the Roxanne Perez segment was supposed to be their biggest segment, but it felt like the Bischoff stuff with Trick and Ridge was supposed to be the biggest segment, and that felt really bad overall for me from beginning to end. I thought that even though I liked the way it was done, Red Sinclair getting that spot, is a little disappointing overall.
Yeah.
I'm here for Jada and Lola. I thought that was fun. I think their match at NXT or Battle at Deadline is going to be great. But for me, this show is a C. I thought it was down a lot this week for me. I'm giving it a C.
It's kind of hard to disagree. So yeah, a C. Yeah.
Before going over this review, I was like, "Oh, this was a pretty good show." It was like a B-, but like going through it, it's like, yeah, it wasn't that good. I'll follow along with you guys. See,
Like it was just too many don't care moments. We're just like, I don't care, move on. So you have those moments, yeah.
Especially for a go-home show.
Yeah.
And you did miss a few things, like there was no Tony D, and where is Obafemi? No Wesley. There were a few things that stood out to me as not being on the show.
Yeah, like Wesley he wasn't in a match, but he was up on the Raptor jaw jack at the end of the thing, but like he was a prominent moment. Yeah.
Right. So, and again, I mean, it is what it is, but and Trick versus Ridge, they're suffering because I think that program isn't very exciting. No one cares about Ridge. Trick is great, but no one cares about Ridge. So
they've done everything to make Ridge a thing, and like he's not a thing. Like,
yeah,
let it go. After the night, let it go.
All right, so we're all in agreement that so far NXT was definitely worse than Raw. Raw got the win so far over NXT. So we're going to switch gears and let Anika take us through Dynamite from this week.
All right.
I remember liking this show, so let's see what Anika can do to pull me away from that.
Like, no, this is going to be a 2-horse race this week, and we'll just see who wins. So Dynamite from last Wednesday. This one here. you'll have, one moment here. Uh, so this is C2 season. Now, it officially started last week, and we have, and if anything, this gives you a reason to go watch Collision. You already have a reason to go watch Collision, but it's C2 season, so you're gonna miss some good. You're gonna miss some good matches if you don't watch Collision. I'm just saying. But we start off with a C2 match. Shelton Benjamin versus Kyle Fletcher. Now look, I'm not down on Kyle Fletcher, right? As a singles person, it's just like, like you're supposed to be a heel. I'm supposed to feel some kind of way about you. It really is a matter of, is it go home heat, or is it what you call it, or is it good heel heat, right? This match, Kyle Fletcher is getting into his good heel heat. I love the presentation. I love the trunks. I love the tattoos. Your little Puerto Rican number 5'10". It actually comes together with the short haircut. Like, all right. I see what you're trying to do. Now, even though Shelton is a heel as well, when Shelton came to AEW, we all said, "Oh, C2, put him in it." So we're already gun ho of Shelton being in this series. So they start off slow. It's methodical. Shelton, being the strong veteran, is out maneuvering and out winning Kyle Fletcher. And every time he does that, Kyle Fletcher leaves. And then so Shelton Benjamin's hyping himself up. He's actually leaning in the corners, just waiting for him to come back inside. The fans, wherever they were for this Dynamite, these fans were great. Now, I'm not sure because the last couple of weeks the fans have sucked, but the fans here were great. Like they're chanting to Kyle Fletcher, Ospreay's better. I'm like, I love all of this. I love all of this. But so Kyle finally found his heel groove, where he knows how, he's figuring out how to beat Shelton Benjamin. It goes bout for bout. I love all of this, and even though it's going bout for bout, Shelton is still kind of getting the upper hand until the last 1, 2, 3, where Kyle Fletcher tucks Shelton up and grabs onto the ring ropes. And then after he wins, he's no dummy. He's racing off the ramp. He's telling Don Callis, "Come on, let's go." Like he stole something from your mama. And when he get to the ramp, like, I won. And so, even though Shelton Benjamin lost, this is probably the best way for Shelton to lose, because we all want him to win. It should only be credible. What was I say? It should only be huge loses to Shelton Benjamin in the C2. That's just me, right? I'm not saying that Kyle Fletcher's a slump, but he is kind of new to this. So without him cheating, Shelton Benjamin should have won. So I'm actually here for all of this. What did y'all guys think?
I thought this was a Dynamite of an opening match.
This was so good. Yes. Like I
enjoyed it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, they crafted this match beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I thought this worked well. Both guys, are very solid. Kyle Fletcher is in some regards the future. So, I don't necessarily have a problem with him getting wins and being shown in a very strong position. That being said, it's good to see Shelton Benjamin getting the nod. And, if your goal is to make Hurt Business, as big as you possibly can and as dominant as you can, you do need more than just Bobby Lashley. So, I think you've got to continue to hype up Shelton Benjamin for sure. So no, I enjoyed all this. I thought this was very solid. I thought it opened the show good, and again, this is where real wrestling happens, and that's what you got here, right? So
I was actually about to get into that myself. Of like, AEW doesn't always have the best promos, but if you're looking for an alternative when it comes to pro wrestling, AEW has the best wrestling. They have the best wrestlers who can wrestle and give you wrestling. Like, man,
agreed.
This is a dude who no one really knew a year ago versus a dude that WWE had written off over a decade ago, giving a killer performance.
Yeah. Yeah. All that
Yeah,
is
no.
100% true.
I like. It's a couple of guys where it's like, oh, they should have done more of him in WWE, and Shelton is definitely one of them. So I am loving this push they're giving him. And it's right. This is like right in the wheelhouse of what he's supposed to do. So yeah, I loved all of this. This was really good.
Now, Shelton was one of my favorite intercontinental champions, though. Like,
Yeah, but
And
what's
him and Charlie Haas, I mean, they were one of my favorite tag teams of all time.
the problem is that once the 2010s came around, they were like, yeah, this whole Shelton project, yeah, we're calling it quits on that. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Why?
why? All right.
All right.
And so before the next segment, like I said, there are definitely some C2 matches. They showed some of them before the commercial break, like cute little promo package. Ospreay beating Juice, but that was a hard hitting match. Unfortunately, Juice got hurt. Ooh.
I did see that.
So they're
I did see
replacing
that.
him. Yeah. So they're replacing him with Commander. And then
Yeah. Why does that feel like a big drop? Like, listen, Commander, and I don't want to take too long because I know we're already running way over because we talked a lot about Raw. But just real quick, Commander, when he first came in, I was super high on him. I was like, oh, dude, this dude's dope. This dude's whatever. And like, a couple matches, like, yeah. And I thought, okay. And then it kind of started to wear on me because it's like he does a lot of the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
And then it seems like they cooled him way down. And it feels like, I say this a lot, but it feels like one thing's not quite like the other. And it feels like he doesn't fit that bill to be in the C2 at this point. I don't feel like they've pushed him like that. They've booked him like that. And, I mean, and to take that spot is definitely, I don't know. I feel like they could have found somebody else. I'm not sure who per se off the top of my head, but I don't know.
Well,
Commander's
I feel like
definitely better in small doses.
Yeah. And I felt like, so number one, he wins on Rampage. So if you watch Rampage, oh, okay. But I feel like this is a petty pick. This is a petty pick because of the Ray Phoenix in the back. There's a Ray freaking Phoenix in the freaking back. And no offense, but and seldomly, Juice, even though he was going to have great matches, he was going to lose more than less, right? So I feel like in that aspect, okay, you need someone to win more or less. But then it's like, if you're not okay, Ray Phoenix is leaving, right? He's gonna be gone. So at least let him push someone. Stop being so petty. Cause I feel like Ray Phoenix would have been perfect for this, and that's just me.
And so, and just to be clear, I mean, your opinion is that because the Lucha Bros want to leave, Tony Khan doesn't want Ray Phoenix to have that spot.
Yes.
I would absolutely agree. Like, if you look at the C2 last year,
yes,
like everyone who was in the C2 got a big push the following year. Like, I struggle to think of a dude in the C2 who didn't have a good year following the C2.
Yeah, right. James though.
But meanwhile, if Ray Phoenix is leaving, well, then you're hyping up a dude for next year that's not going to be there.
But like I said, Juice, I don't see him winning all of these fights, right? So if you're gonna have someone losing, like that can be Ray Phoenix.
And for me, honestly, like I like Juice. I'm a huge Juice fan.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have somebody take losses, I'd rather Juice be injured and not take a bunch of losses and let Commander take those losses because I don't really care about Commander. Then Juice stay there and take a bunch of losses.
I mean, if you're going to get somebody to replace Juice, you need to find the most rock hard person you can find.
That's what I'm going to say. Even though Juice might have lost a lot, he was going to lose with flair. He was going to fall with style.
Like, personally, I might have taken one of the Outrunners and been like, all right, let's give you a singles.
Hey! Why not? Why the frick not? Let's just see. Let's have the shenanigans ensue. But all right. So after that little promo of the C2s. Oh, and also we had on Collision Daniel Garcia versus Okada on Collision, and that ended in a draw. That was, if you like wrestling, this is the perfect time to watch AEW. That's all I'm gonna say. But all right. So next up, we have Hook coming to the ring, and I'm not sure if they showed it or not, but again, they were on the patriarchy was on Collision, and Nick Wayne actually challenged Hook. I'm like, all right, cool, bet. I was working, that's why I didn't watch it. But Hook Hook goes to the ring, and he's like, I saw you talking about me on Collision. I accept your challenge. I'm gonna beat you as bad as you beat my daddy and put him in a hospital. So here comes the not patriarchy all at once. But here comes Nick Wayne and what's old boy's name? Penelope Ford's husband. What's his name? Oh, his name! Come on!
Who? Sorry.
Penelope Ford's husband.
Kip Sabian.
Kip Sabian.
Yes.
So they come in and to attack Hook. Hook kind of gets the better of it, but it is 2-on-1, so they get the upper hand. Thanks to Mama Wayne coming in to distract Hook. And then here comes Christian Cage. So they beat up Hook he puts the contract to the back of his head, and they give a concerto to his hand. Now, we were kind of turning a tide to this feud a couple of weeks back when Christian did his when Christian did his promo talking about, I want you to be a part of my team. Let me be a part. Let me be the father you never had. We were turning a corner, but it feels like they dropped it. I'm going to say rightfully so, because the cluster mess of who's going to beat Moxley and Christian had the contract. I actually like that. It wasn't that. I actually like Christian being a part of the cluster mess. So it's kind of like, okay, we dropped it. We're trying to pick it back up. And it's like, you shouldn't have picked it back up. Either you shouldn't have picked it back up, or you should have kept continually reminding people of the feud. You just not having Hook come out for 2 weeks or 3, and you're just like magically just reappearing like, hey, remember this feud? We're doing it again. It didn't get people reheated for the feud. So I'm not sure if the hand thing is making a permanent pause to this feud where it's like, oh, his hand's hurt, so we can't do this right now. Maybe that's why they did the segment where it's like, okay, let's pause this feud, let's hurt his hand, he'll be out for a minute so we can do the John Moxley thing and come back. Maybe that's why they did it. But yeah, like in my mind, let's let Christian go with the Moxley cluster feud, and let's move on for this right now. Thoughts?
Full disclosure, I missed this segment, so I apologize. I really can't comment. I know I was doing some. I was watching this while I was working, and this was the one segment where I was like, actually had to focus on something, and I realized I missed it, so can't really make any comments. Unfortunately, I got to go back and watch it. So Sammy,
Anika hasn't said anything bad yet.
I don't say anything. You don't look about. I say things bad. I'm like, I told you, it's gonna be a tight race between Raw and AEW. I'm not saying anything.
I didn't realize it at the time, but like, did they give us a perfect show?
Yeah, I didn't give us a perfect show. No, it wasn't a perfect show. I'm not gonna say that. But let's go. So even though you didn't watch it, what do you think about Christian moving on from this feud and hurting Hook's hand? Like, all right, let's put a pin in this real quick and go and let Christian join the cluster fest of who's going to beat Moxley.
This is like about the best that you can do with these two dudes. Like, you got the young dude in Hook who doesn't really speak, and who do you match him up with? A literal veteran of the business, like one of the best dudes on the roster, one of the best promos in the business. Like, this is money, and like it's been a build up. Like, I wasn't as hyped for it at first, but the more it continues on, like the more I want to see these two dudes go at it. Like, Christian has that ability though, of where he can just take something that I'm like, and it's like, oh, like,
yeah. I mean, everything Christian touches at this point is basically gold, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so that being said, and for me, I think the meat on the bones is really with Hook joining the patriarchy for a while as opposed to just fighting it. And I don't think we're going to
Yeah.
get that, which is fine. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with Hook versus Jericho. I mean, Hook versus Christian. I just for me, Hook still needs to develop a lot more. And a big match against Christian, I'm afraid potentially. I mean, it does one of two things. It either shows he either thrives and it shows him in a good light, and shows that he's farther along than I thought, or it shows his deficiencies and doesn't look good. So one or the other, right? And in my mind, I feel like it could potentially, like, there's more chance that it ends up being bad and not looking great for Hook in that match. And so I
Oh,
don't necessarily want to see that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Christian can carry anybody, make anybody look good. Christian's not gonna let Hook just fall on his face. I get that. But at the same time, like, I don't need to see 25 hip tosses and 35 German suplexes. Like, if I only get the two Hook moves the whole match, I'm gonna be extremely frustrated. Like, that's the stuff I'm looking for. Like, you've got to do more, and you
I
can't
am
just like,
assuming something completely different. I am
okay,
assuming Christian beats Hook, and Hook is like, no, I want another opportunity. I want another shot. Like, I'm not done with you. And then Christian's like, okay, I'll have another match with you, but if you lose, you have to join. And then Hook loses again. And then we get like a couple months of Christian being like, come here, my son, and everything like that. And it eventually leads up to Hook costing Christian Cage his cash in. And then we get off to the races. I think this is going to be a long term storytelling feud where we're going to have like a month or two of Hook in the patriarchy.
I
I
guess
mean,
my
I mean,
thing is, I'll say real quick, is it going to be hot enough for it to be a long term feud? Like, I don't think it's going to be hot enough to be that long term of a feud or a
yeah, I mean,
program.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I mean, I think there's more meat on the bone with Hook joining the patriarchy for a while. So in some regards, I like that. And Hook shouldn't win the match. I assume Christian's going to win. And yeah, I mean, that stipulation would work. I mean, I guess the only problem is that, I mean, there's no problem. I guess that stipulation would work, and then potentially. I mean, I like the idea of him causing Christian that either a loss once he catches in, or the opportunity before he gets a chance to catch it in. That being said, you can't. The long-term storytelling with Hook causing Christian, if it's going to be that opportunity, can't be too long because it's already taken too long, in my opinion. Even though Christian's done a
Yes.
fairly good job of keeping it somewhat interesting, it's already been too long. Like, he needs to do something with it or move on. Or they need to move on at some point here. They
I
got
was
to do
thinking
something.
like Revolution. I,
Which is what, March? That's still a long
I
time.
think
That's
that, no,
3 months. I
February.
mean, yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the chances are good it's probably not going to happen before then, anyhow. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it is what it is. But I think they've taken way too long with the opportunity and Christian in it to begin with. So, um,
All right.
but yeah,
All
no. I mean, I
right.
thought this was fine overall. I mean, yeah, I didn't have. I think it was good.
Yeah, it was a fine segment. All right. So next up we have Mercedes Monet coming to the building, and Renee trying to do her interview. And so of course, like, Renee, you know better not to interrupt before I do my catchphrase. Wherever the freak we are. So Renee interviews her, and like she asks her, "What about a whole lot happened this past collision? Daggone it!" She asks Renee how she feel about Camille getting beat up, and she's like, "Look, she's no longer my employee, so that is none of my business. I had nothing to do with it. I don't think about her anymore. But now." And Jay, I heard what you were saying about me, and I'll be looking at your match later on in the match. I mean, later on in the night. Like, all right, cool. Point, cut, sweet, cool. Um, and
I
of
dug
course, he
what
ended it with "It pays when you mess with Monet." Yeah,
I dug when she said, I beat the biggest and the strongest woman on the roster in Chris Statlander, so I don't know who the hell you think you are. Like, I'm digging Mercedes. Like, even though it's against Anna Jay, I'm like, man, Mercedes is in her wheelhouse with this, and I'm taking it.
It's
I
crazy
agree.
how maybe she's better off with not a big person. We all thought her and Camille would be good together, but she's better by herself.
It's very interesting because Mercedes is killing it at the moment, and at the same time, it feels, and this is no disrespect to Chris Statlander, it's a little disrespect to Anna Jay, even though I like Anna Jay. It feels like she's doing it against mid card talent. So I don't, at least a little bit to me, like Anna Jay and Mercedes doesn't really do anything for me. Like that doesn't feel like a real. For me personally, I don't. When I'm gauging this, I think the percentage of Anna Jay actually having a viable chance of beating Mercedes is like 10%. I mean, to me, there just isn't. And so, in that regard, I'm not overly interested. Not to mention, I'm not a big Anna Jay fan. So, and Statlander's fine. I think Statlander's a very solid wrestler. I think she's good at what she does. I think she still needs work overall, when it comes to talking and that kind of stuff, or someone to talk for her. But I still feel like she's like top of the mid card. I'm not sure that I think a Statlander is like, main event, whatever, right at this second. So it just feels like Mercedes is kind of, you know, um, defending against all the mid card people, which is okay. I mean, that's fine. And at the same
I
time,
mean, that's a
she's Mercedes
discussion we could
Moné. I mean,
definitely have on a cookout of like the main event women talent on AEW feels lacking. It
oh,
like
yeah.
No,
they have the best mid card for women on the planet, but like
so
the number of women who I feel are main card talent, I don't feel like Britt Baker is that anymore. I don't feel like Jamie Hayter's being booked that way. I feel like she is, but I don't feel like she's being booked that way. I'd say the same thing with Hikaru Shida, Thunder Rosa. Like, who's being booked as a main card talent right now? And like,
Yeah.
aside from Mercedes Moné, I don't feel like there is.
Yeah.
like
I mean, that's
hindsight.
definitely
Oh, you go.
I just said that's just a viable. I mean, that's definitely a viable statement. I mean, that's hard to argue with.
Like I was gonna say, hindsight is 2020 because I'm not gonna knock Mariah May versus Toni Storm because that was a great story that had a great ending.
Yes.
But what would have happened if they let Mercedes Moné beat Toni Storm than Mariah? I think that's just a what if. Like, not sure. Like, I feel like maybe the women's division might have been in a little bit better situation, or at least presented a little bit better. But like I said, hindsight's 2020 because that was a great storyline. That was a great angle. But they might have.
I mean, it might have been the best women's story of the year, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, the other contender is Bayley and Io.
Right.
But like, just the follow up sucked. And so like this more so, if you had a better follow up, we wouldn't be saying anything about this. But you did it because you don't know how to pivot when people can't get a visa. So now that's why we're here. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. This is why we're here. But
like I feel like the women are doing great. They're just not being presented in that light.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like Tony did a better job in the beginning of AEW, or AEW did a better job with the women's division in the beginning than they are now.
Oh, most definitely. And even with Toni Storm's reign, she really didn't elevate anybody in her reign. Let's all say straight. It was a Toni Storm show. We all enjoyed it, but no one really got elevated.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Wow. I'm really thinking about that now. Like Toni Storm's reign, yeah. Like no one got elevated during Toni Storm's reign, and now here we are after her reign, and it's like, well, now we don't have anybody.
No, I mean the only person that got elevated is the champion now, and that's Mariah May. That's the only person that got elevated a little bit was Mariah May, and she's a champion now. So
yeah. So like, again, hindsight's 2020, but you have to hire someone with the foresight to at least plan the next 3 months. I'm not saying plan the whole year out, but at least the next 3 months after a few days, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
She beat Taya Valkyrie, she beat Deonna Purrazzo, she beat Serena Deeb, and now it's like, and we never see Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Nope.
We haven't
Like,
seen Tony Storm since she lost, right? We haven't seen her since she lost the belt.
She did New Japan, right? She did something against CMLL, CMLL, and I think she did something in New Japan, but I know she definitely did something in CMLL.
But she hasn't been on AEW TV since Mariah May took the belt from her.
Nope.
the most hyped thing for the women's single competition outside of the championships is Jamie Hayter versus Julia Hart.
Yeah.
And that because of Julia Hart vignettes. But yeah.
And, like,
Yeah,
as soon as that match is over, like, you have your number one contender, and that's it. It's like,
I mean, I don't know if it moves the needle for anybody. It does for me because I like them both, but I think we're going to get a Camille Mercedes feud, which I think is coming at some point when Camille is back, I guess, or whatever. So I'm here for that. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, beyond that, there isn't anything going on. Mina and Mariah, I guess.
The segment, because like I'm thinking like future stuff and things that aren't being shown on TV. What they showed on TV was great.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at the situation that's off TV, it's like,
sure, yeah,
we're in trouble here. We need to fix this. But they're showing their best face on TV with this. It's just, you're more than just your face. You got to look at the body too.
All right, so after this, we have another backstage segment. We have the Hurt Syndicate. MVP is mad at Shelton. Like, what do we do? We hurt people. What do we do? We hurt people. So why didn't you hurt that man? Why did you let him beat you? MVP, he cheated. Like no offense. Like, what am I supposed to do when he grabbed the ropes? I can't get out of it. After, like, so I'm just disappointed. I love you, man. I'm just disappointed. And so Bobby Lashley goes past Shelton, like, gotta do better, right? And so Shelton's like, dang. So I'm like, the poor little stagehand just walking. He's just walking. Shelton stows him into the freaking garage door, beats him up. It looks like Bobby was trying to break it up, but then someone touched Bobby, like, oh, no. And so Bobby started beating up security, and then that's when MVP starts beating up more security, and then eventually they lay out the backstage people. And MVP was like, that's what we do. That's what we freaking do. Now, I do love this segment. So even though I feel like the anger is not warranted towards Shelton, I'm like, no, he cheated. He cheated. I do appreciate the whole, let's get back to business of we hurt people. Let me rev you back up, right? So hopefully this is Shelton in the C2. Shelton loses a lot more. Like, maybe wins the next 2 of his matches, and okay, the motivation by MVP is working. Now, long term, if y'all want to go get the Don Callis family, I'm here for all of that. I'm here for any capacity of Shelton versus Takeshita, or Bobby Lashley versus Takeshita, or Shelton versus who else in there? A run back, Shelton Benjamin versus Cal Fletcher. I'm here for that scenario of the Don Callis family versus Hurt Syndicate. Because I know, like again, we hurt people. So let's go back and hurt the man you're supposed to hurt in the first place. So that's just me. But what do you guys think?
I like it all. I mean, Sammy, go ahead and say something.
For the love of God, MVP and Don Callis in a promo battle.
Yes!
Oh, I am here for that. Especially like the Hurt Syndicate, like, they're working heel, but like with the Callis family, they can work face. And I am hyped to hear the crowd behind MVP on the mic. We're not going to beat you. We're going to hurt you, and then we're going to beat you.
It rolls down. What do they say? They say it rolls downhill, right? So Shelton takes it from MVP. Shelton takes it out on the poor little guy standing next to him. The little backstage guy got beat up for it. So, it is what it is. I like this for the most part. I mean, this is what the Hurt Business does. Like you said, I think that the anger towards Shelton's a little unwarranted, but at the same time, I get it. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any problem with this.
Yeah, so like hopefully in the future for C2 wise, run Cal and Shelton back if you can. I would love that. Feud wise, Don Cal family hurting the kid. Yeah, I want that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, Callis versus MVP, the promo battle should be amazing. No doubt about it. So
Alright.
what do you think? Okada, Fletcher, and Shelton all lose a match, and so they all three have to face each other in a semifinal?
They did that last year, and I loved it. Where it was Jay versus Moxley versus Swerve. So they want to do it again. I'm all here for it. Not sure with the logistics of how to do that, but if that's how the end goal is, then yes, give it to me.
So Shelton lost a match against Fletcher. You need Fletcher to lose a match against Okada, and Okada to lose a match against Shelton.
Cool.
I don't see Shelton Benjamin beating Okada, but yeah, I mean,
I'll be
I
mad
guess
at
we'll see
it.
how it plays out. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I like Shelton Benjamin more than Okada. I just don't see that happening, but we'll see how it plays out. I will be 100% extremely shocked if anybody besides Kazuchika Okada wins this tournament.
Well, I wouldn't say Okada wouldn't win the tournament. I was just saying he'd lose a match in the tournament and have to.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that he won't lose a match in the tournament. I'm just saying I'll be surprised if he doesn't win the tournament. I would probably be surprised if he doesn't go undefeated. But.
Well, so him with Garcia, it was a draw. Not sure.
Okay.
He didn't
Okay,
lose.
so
It was a draw.
So, I mean, a draw, I guess, is, I don't know, it's not a defeat, but it's not a win either. So I guess it is what it is. But I can't imagine Okada's doesn't win this tournament. But I mean, they keep referring to him as the greatest tournament wrestler ever. So how much more can you put on it? So
we'll see though. I'm not putting all my money on Okada though. I'm not. All right, so this was, I'm gonna say, the lower part of the show, the Diamond Ring Battle Royal. And I say that because they didn't even try to hide the freaking who's gonna win. No offense, but did anyone else have anything maybe it's gonna be so we all know who's gonna win this. But I digress. This was a decent Battle Royal.
It's one of those catch-22 situations of if they didn't do it, people would complain, and since they did do it, it's well, that's predictable. It's
just let the storyline go. That's the answer. Let the storyline go. But I digress.
So
go.
I was saying at this point now, just because they're doing this and it pisses me off, I'm kind of here to be even more frustrated. I kind of hope that O'Reilly beats Cole.
That's happening. That's happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Just to further push off the Cole and MJF shit. Now we have to deal with Roderick Strong first.
Yeah.
Got to deal with Kyle O'Reilly first. Man.
As
just to make me more frustrated.
As soon as this was the result, I was like, oh, that's happening. Because Roddy got the match instead of Cole because Cole couldn't pull through in the end. It's going to happen again. Cole once again missing out on his match against MJF and Kyle O'Reilly getting it. And then Kyle O'Reilly loses. And then it's even more on Cole of now both of my friends got hurt.
What was I going to say? And so, is this what worked last year too? My memory's terrible, but I thought the winner got an opportunity right away. I don't remember there being two guys and then them having to wrestle for the winner getting an opportunity.
So they flipped it. It was going to be the winner of Battle Royal goes against MJF for the ring, but but this week it was now the winner of the battle. Now I think because what they did was
usually MJF competes and he's always final two.
Yeah. So, but now they have it where the two people in the gauntlet face each other to go against MJF. But like I said,
MJF no longer has to compete in the Battle Royale.
Yeah,
No,
it just seems to me that you would just have the winner go against MJF as opposed to have the final two then wrestle each other in a singles match for the
Yeah.
chance to go against MJF. But
Well, it was
okay,
always
I
the
mean,
final
it is
two
what it
would
is.
then wrestle each other. It's just MJF was always
Well,
on the
it's
final
always been
two.
MJF, right?
well,
Right.
yeah. Go get MJF because
This
last
is
time
the
it was
first time
Ricky.
MJF didn't compete in the Battle Royale
No,
itself.
because
All that being said,
because
Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole is going to be a banger.
it will be. I will say that. What I was gonna say was Ricky won a battle royal and then went 1-on-1 against MJF. It wasn't MJF who done battle royal. Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were final two. So okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because that was when it was awesome promo battle and you didn't do
I
anything
feel like
with
they
it.
switched it up like almost every year to a certain extent. The first year it was everybody, and the winner of the Royal got the ring, which was Max. And then the next year
I'm
they
pretty
did
sure
something.
they had him and I think it was Hangman Page. I could be wrong, but I think it was Hangman Page the first year.
I thought he just won the ring for winning the Royal, the Battle Royal the first time, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. But
I thought it was final two, and then they had them have a match, and
maybe so.
I just remember.
It feels like they've done a lot of changing it up, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong.
I just remember the first time MJ put his neck behind Gum and DDP's head. I want to punch him in the throat for the DDP himself. I'm like, this guy's so fucking gross.
Here's what I do know is that there's nothing that you can do to cool a prize down more than to let it just sit on somebody for an indefinite amount of time.
5 years.
The ring was cool at first. It was like, all right, this is kind of a cool, novel thing. Now, 1 year later, it was lamer. 2 years later, when he won it again, it was even worse. 3, I didn't give a shit. 4, I'm done with it. 5, if he wins it again, I mean, why even?
Oh, he's absolutely winning it again. It's going to be him versus Kyle O'Reilly, and he's going to beat Kyle O'Reilly, and it's going to build further to the feud with Cole.
Yeah,
which would probably happen at Revolution.
I would say this till cows come home. They should have let Ricky beat him for that diamond ring, and then let MJF beat Ricky for the belt. That would have happened. They would have reheated the freaking tournament. But I'm not sure why they didn't do that. But that's the year they should have done it. That's the year they should have freaking done it. But like, even with all that, this battle royal was decent. Like so we have the official breakup of Top Flight as a foursome because it was Dante and his brother Darius on the ring apron, almost eliminated, and then Leo and Action Andretti looked at each other and eliminated both of them. I'm like, wait, hold up, what? Oh, you could at least cover your freak. Oh, that one. Hey, so we had them. So they had them eliminated. I'm like, oh, okay. Not sure how I feel about them officially breaking up because no offense to Action Andretti. Leo Rush should probably be by himself, but Action Andretti, I don't see you being by yourself and being successful. That's just me. But whatever, I digress.
I need a minute.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's the end. You see, at the end of the match, it was Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. They're going to face each other at Winter is Coming to see who's going to face MJF. Cole was like, no, I don't want to do it. We're friends. And Kyle was like, if you don't suck it up, man up. We're facing each other. That's it. So we're continuing with this feud that should have never continued. Let it go. All right. Next segment. Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Next segment, we have a backstage. Last week we had Max Caster going up against Swerve, and he's pissing Swerve off. And so now we're having a match tonight against Max Caster and Swerve. Billy Gunn is trying to talk some reasoning to him. He's like, what are you doing, bruh? Like, honestly, what are you doing? And he was like, look, trying to hype him up. You are the best wrestler alive, but you're going about this all wrong. You can't this is not how you face Swerve. And then he's like, what's his name? Oh my God. It's Max Caster and what's his partner's name? I'm so sorry.
Anthony Bowens.
Oh.
Who? Anthony Bowens.
Anthony Bowens.
So Billy Gunn's like, go to Anthony Bowens, please talk some sense to him. And Anthony Bowens like, you think you're the best wrestler alive? Go have at it. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. Sometimes as best friends, the biggest lesson they can learn is let them go ahead and get their behinds whooped. So Anthony Bowens MVP. Congrats, you did the right thing. You can see, you can tell when you can't talk someone out of it. Like, all right, go and learn your
Shoot your
lesson.
shot.
Go and get your behind whooped. And so delusional Matt Caster is like, thank you. I appreciate the support. All right, hands in. 1, 2, 3. Best wrestler alive. All right, let's go. I'm like, it's like this was all stupid in the best way possible.
Yes.
Yep. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really thought it was fun. I'm not necessarily here for the breakup of the Acclaim, which I feel like is what's coming, but I guess it is what it is. I mean, they've never really.
I mean, not
Even though
necessarily.
they've been trios champions and even though they've been tag team champions, I feel like they've never quite what they should have. So if they're not going to get there, then they might as well split them up and see what they can do individually.
I mean, they could just be doing an FTR of like, we're not breaking up. We're just gonna pursue some solo opportunities.
Yeah, maybe.
Now to the match. We have Matt Caster versus Swerve. It was what I wanted to be. Swerve booped that Matt Caster butt. It was like you're gonna talk about my household burning down. You got me at a bad moment. Not sure what you thought this was, but I am still that dude. And he proved to Matt Caster. I loved it. I think Matt Caster I'm not sure what move Matt Caster did, but Swerve just immediately came up and did a house call on his face. I'm like, hold on, wait, it didn't even hurt. Swerve, okay, go. Like 3 house calls, win, and then he's like, no, that's not enough. He goes up top and does what's he call that move? Where he's up top and does his own version of coup de grace. Basically, swerve stomp. He does a swerve stomp just to make sure everyone notices. Like, let's remind people I'm still that dude. Then Swerve goes to the camera and says, Bobby Lashley, I haven't forgot. I'm coming after you. I'm coming for you too. Just be ready. I loved every moment of this. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed every moment of it. I mean, I thought it was very good. Again, Max is not the greatest wrestler in the world, and Swerve should be beating him. At this point. That being said, I do like Max Caster, so I hope that he does get at least a fair. I hope that this isn't just one of those where they're going to make him lose a whole bunch, and then he's forced to just kind of go back to his tag team partner with his tail between his legs. I couldn't do it. I kind of hope that they let him actually have some wins, not against a Swerve, but have some wins and maybe have a whatever. But we'll see. In the meantime, yeah, this worked out the way it was, and it came out perfect. So.
Oh yeah, and like if he wants to join the Her Syndicate and be the one who gets all the losses, I'm here for that too. I thought that would be a hilarious good time. Like before he's like, you know what? I don't know what I was drinking. My bad. Let's do the Acclaim again. But yeah. All right. Next we have another Julia Hart vignette, and she's telling us why she's targeting Jamie Hayter. And in a nutshell, she's mad because her debut was in her hometown. Okay, sure. Okay. I'll be jealous too. I'll be jealous. Be like, but when I make my debut, it's gonna be at your expense. Time is running out. TikTok. All right, it's fine.
Wasn't there were dueling promos, right? Or did Jamie's come right afterwards?
It felt like afterwards.
It felt like they intersected almost. Okay.
So they come out. It came at the end. We can fire off Jamie Hayter's real quick. She was just like, she literally says, "I'm not sure why you're targeting me. You when I came back, you was basically not on my list of things to do. I had to sell some old scores. I did that, and I won some championships. You ain't got that, but now you want to be in my business. I got to beat you behind." And so it is a very rare time where we saw Jamie Hayter do a promo by herself. I think she did a phenomenal job. Let's ignore the 70s costume, but I think I loved her promo where it basically was like, nice, like bruh, I don't know why you obsessed with me. You was now on my radar, but since you want to be on my radar, we will do this match. I will beat you behind. We're gonna move the freak on. So yeah, both things were decent. Both things were very, very decent.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it. I thought it was okay. I'm not necessarily the biggest Julia Hart fan, so like that doesn't necessarily move the needle for me per se. At the same time, I think she's doing a good job at the promos and being creepy and what they basically have given her to kind of do in this spot. I just wish it was someone a little bit bigger than Julia Hart, but that's just
Uh,
my own personal preference. But there
I
aren't many
mean,
people
I'm
right now
with
that
you
are
on
there.
that, but I also understand that the fans like really dig her. Like she got big pops last year and
Yeah.
early this year, and so like I understand that there's like big support behind her, and that's one where I just have to take a step back and be like, give the fans what they want. It's not about me. Get the fans what they
I agree.
want.
No, I agree.
Do
But
the
there's
fans
three
want this
women's
though?
feuds right now, and two of them are involving titles. This is the only women's feud that's not involving a title. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I
Yeah,
think you're
no,
right.
no. I guess for me, I'm tired of waiting for Jada to take the belt off of Mariah, and this is just another detour of us not getting Hater versus Mariah May, and it's like,
Well, we got to get Mina Shirakawa first.
more okay, yeah, more so with Hater. Like it's like, so why do we keep putting her in these situations that we don't want this. We don't want this. When we envisioned Hater coming back, it was be whoever the championship, whoever the champ is, and that's how we do it. And it's
But
like
do you have her beating Julia Hart on Julia Hart's return? Like,
that's why I don't like this. Cause no, I don't. But why? So that's why I'm like, why are we doing this? Because
we can't
either
have
Julia
either of these
beats.
two lose. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Why are we doing this match? Like, yes, I get it. No, I don't get it. Because, like, even if Julia wins, we're going to have to run this back. It's going to be 2 out of 3. And it's like, just give me Hater versus Mariah. That's what I want. Just give it to me.
because, like, if Jamie loses this, like, is she still number one contender in our eyes to face Mariah if she loses to Julia Hart?
That's why I'm
No.
saying I don't like this. This is a bad decision. I do think they're not going to do just one match. I think they're going to go 2 out of 3. And do with that what you will. But yeah, what you made a decision. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, the jury's out. We'll see what Julia looks like when she comes back. I was never overly impressed with her when she was here. That being said, Jamie's really solid and can carry anybody. So, I'm sure the match will be fine. And if they do it more than once, we'll just have to see how it works out.
Because, like, I feel like Julia should be contending against Mercedes. I'm not saying she should beat Mercedes, but Julia should be contending against Mercedes. Meanwhile, Jamie needs to be beating Mariah.
I have no
It's hard to argue with
problem
that.
Yeah, but it is what it is. All right, and so now
It's going to be a good match.
It's gonna
I
be a
can
good
say
match.
that.
We're just delaying what we really want with this. That's my biggest gripe. We're delaying what we want, which is what everything Sammy said. But next we have an MJF promo with whatever the frick he is. I know we know that he's filming Happy Gilmore. But again, is he at his house? Is he at the set? Where exactly is he at when he does his promos? I just want to know.
That's. I don't know if you ever watched the stuff before MJF came to AEW, but they did this whole like home interview thing with him at his house, and it's like, is everything of his life just manufactured? Is all this bullshit? Like, is he lying about everything? And it's like, what is reality?
That's hilarious. But yeah, so what's his name? Like I said, it's gonna be Cal O'Reilly versus Adam Cole to go see who faces MJF for the ring. And he's just like, Adam, man, what's your issue, bro? And so I love when he's like high pitched and annoying. It's just like you. So this all started because you thought I was gonna turn my back on you first. I don't have any proof of that. It's just like, shut up, you idiot. And so he's like, but now look at the state of AEW. It's all your fault. You betrayed me, and I lost the title. Moving to the slow motioning towards John Moxley now has the title and is running Ropshot.
Your friend, Roderick Strong, is now out with an injury because of you. Yeah, you keep pursuing this vendetta. You'll never learn. And now, when it's like ultimately, if I had to go through Kyle O'Reilly, I'll go through him too. But like more so, the more so, all of this is your fault.
We're going to have to pick up the pace. We've been on air for a long time.
So that's the person who keeps interrupting people.
I mean,
Anyway,
go ahead.
what do you think about this? What do you think about this segment?
Great.
Hey, MJF is a good promo. I mean, he's a solid promo. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do to hype up this match. I mean, even though he's not here, he's not disappearing. He's not out of sight, out of mind, which is good. He's still here doing promos. And, I like listening to MJF talk. So, I mean, for me, this worked well. I enjoyed it.
I will say this, even though we kept saying that let it go, this might have been better if either side of the coin, when they did the United Kingdom debuting, if this would have had a better thing if they could just be in the freaking in the arena at the same time. This hurt. No matter if you go back to United Undisputed Kingdom or someone not being here for the feud has hurt both of these storylines. So it's like, I want y'all to let it go, but I feel like y'all trying to wait for them to be in the arena. You have to let it go. It would have been better if they were just both healthy. It's not the case, so just let it go, right?
Agreed.
All right. So next up, we have one of the great matches. It might have been match of the night. Jay White versus Pac. And they said this is the first time ever. Again, Mandela effect is like, y'all are lying to me. This happened somewhere else. You're lying to me, but I don't have the history or the time to debate y'all. But so this was a great match for this. This is great. So it wasn't for the C2. It was not for the C2 because last week they beat up on Jay White. We're going to look back. And that's why, okay, never mind. I thought this was a C2, and that's why Yuta was out. And I'm like, why is Yuta out there? But it wasn't. So sorry. I just heard something in my brain. Okay, so this was so they were going bout for bout. Yuta was cheating the heck out of this for Pac, but even with all that, Jay White is Jay White. Blade Runner into a 1-2-3 baby boy, and they tried to attack Jay White. Here comes, but Jay White is still awesome. But Marina Saphir, your little minx. You had to come distract them. Here comes Moxley to take advantage and beat up Jay White. Then we hear Heyman Adam Page's music. Interesting. And so while they're doing a face-off on the ramp, we have someone in a hoodie and a mask. He looks like he's part of the crew. And so the camera's saying, like, what you doing? It's like, so the dude was like shoving him. He gets a wire. It's OC. OC's trying to choke out John Moxley. And justifiably so, I'm here for all of this. And then we get to the freaking ring. And ultimately, John Moxley gets beat up by Hangman, Jay White, and OC. And then while the Death Riders are backing off the ring, trying to retreat, we have Christian Cage with his contract looming in the distance. I am here for all of this. I'm here for the clusterfest. I'm more so here what's Heyman's motivation. I know he wants to be champion, but in this moment, you were with the baby faces, and that is very much intriguing. Any thoughts?
The whole thing is good.
It's kind of weird you're saying the baby faces in reference to Switchblade Jay White.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he is. He's the best one right now because he's still Jay White. Nothing has changed.
It's AEW versus the Death Riders. Heels and baby faces don't matter. It's AEW versus the Death Riders.
But we are Team AEW because we want the company to succeed. So if you're Team AEW, you're a babyface.
It makes my skin crawl. Makes me feel dirty.
I mean, I have issues when you do too much in one segment and it feels like you pack too much in, and it becomes clustery-ish. And there was a little bit of that, especially by the time you saw Christian onlooking. I'm like, come on now. But it is what it is. And ultimately I did enjoy it, and I enjoy all these
Mhm.
parts. So the match itself was solid.
Mhm.
Glad Jay White got the win. And then the stuff, the extracurricular stuff, it all makes sense kayfabe wise. I just don't necessarily like it being all shoved together, all in one segment like that. But yeah, I
I,
guess it is what it is.
I feel you on that. It's interesting having Hangman and Switchblade on the same side, considering they just had a feud that went on for like 2 months, and now they're working together.
Right?
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Death Riders. Like, even enemies have to team up together to face them.
Yeah. Let's see. Anika, we lost her for a second, but she's back.
Hey,
All right.
all right.
Hey.
So, yep. So after this happened, let me see here, because we're gonna get through it. I promise you. All right. So next,
Uh,
Yeah, she went silent. I don't know if she accidentally muted herself or.
it should have
Let
a
me see.
mute symbol in the corner if she muted herself, and I don't see one. I think her audio probably dropped.
So Patrick J. White. So we were up to, I guess we're up to Anna J. and Penelope Ford.
Can you see me? All right.
And that's
All right, sorry. No,
good.
my notes are on my phone. I'm on my phone, but I'm gonna get through it. Let's go for it. Okay, so next up we have Jericho doing his New York Minute, and that's how I like Jericho right now. Give me a minute of Jericho, and that's it. So he's wrapping up Final Battle of ROH. So at this moment we didn't know who his opponent is. He'll reveal it on ROH tomorrow. Tune in, guys. That's your New York Minute. I love that. If you're going to give me Jericho, give him in the minute integrals, and that's it. I totally love that. And then to find out the person who accepted his challenge is Mark Cardona. Any thoughts?
No, not really. I mean,
I,
not
I
just
love
because
Matt
we've been
Cardona.
on too long or whatever. I just don't care. If I hate a lot of guys, I talk bad about a lot of guys. There are two guys I probably not hate more, but couldn't care less about really when it comes down to it. I don't like Matt Cardona and I don't like Chris Jericho. So no, there's nothing for me at all.
Sammy?
I dig it. I mean, I'm not the biggest Jericho fan, but I feel like I'm a bigger Jericho fan than anybody else on the podcast. And as for Matt Cardona, I actually like Matt Cardona. I dig it.
If Matt Cardona's the one to beat Jericho, I'm here for that. And have Matt Cardona somewhat involved with AEW, I'm here for that as well. I'm not sure if he wants to be tied down to a company today, but I am here if they want to give him like a partial contract or anything like that. I'm here for that. I think that will actually be a very nice little treat,
I feel like TK is more willing to do that with the Ring of Honor title than he is with any of the AEW titles. So it's a possibility. If it was an AEW title, I wouldn't happen.
Agreed. All right, and then we have this promo video vignette of this Western feel. We're looking for an outlaw, and Bandito is coming back. I don't hate or dislike Bandito. I just didn't think he was big enough for this much of a promo to come back. That's just me. But y'all tell me otherwise.
He ran Ring of Honor for a hot minute there.
But this isn't Ring of Honor. This is AEW. So this was Ring of Honor. I'm all for it. But this is AEW Dynamite. We're doing this big thing for Bandito on Dynamite. I'm like
a couple years back, he was in the conversation of top 10 wrestlers on the earth.
A couple of years back, though. This.
Well, he's been gone.
Exactly. Okay.
He's back.
So he's back. Cool. I don't think he warranted this big of a comeback video. But am I wrong or wrong? ALW?
I mean, Again, like Sammy said a couple years ago, he was one of the best in the world. I think he is probably still one of the best in the world. And I don't know why he's been gone. I don't know if it was injury or what the deal is, but I mean,
He broke his
I
wrist.
didn't think it was too much. I mean, I didn't think it was too much. That
Hey,
was fine.
just talking about me. Just talking about me. But then we have our women's match of Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. I appreciate them showing their bout of 2 years ago. I don't appreciate them finally doing the singles match after 2 years. I'm like, in my mind, we saw this on Rampage. We rant and raved about this blonde 4-way tag team hardcore match. Why on earth did you not do it why did you not push any of these girls right after this? I'm still mad at that. Like, great, yes, you showed us the history, but why didn't you push them right after this great match?
This is their third singles bout. Penelope Ford won the first 2.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, after that great hardcore tag team match with the 4, like, none of them went for the title. And it's like, why didn't you take advantage of that? Honestly, silver platter here. So I'm still mad at that, but whatever. Like I said, I'm glad that y'all showed it for people who didn't see it or trying to remember people. You're trying to revamp something that's 2 years cold. That's why I'm at.
As for this match here, I thought it was really good. I think both of the women performed very well.
They did. Like I said, you can't go on history all the time. You have to reheat people up. Now you can use the history, but you gotta do something else today. And that go in the lull of 2 years ago when you should have hyped them up 2 years ago after the great blonde 4-way tag team match. But like you said, it was great. I love Penelope Ford. I love Anna Jay in both of this. I know Anna Jay's a favorite, but I do think at one point in time, give Penelope Ford the push, because I'm not gonna say I'm over Anna Jay, but I think she's getting too many opportunities to not beat anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you let her go against Mariah May and lost. I don't see her beating Mercedes Moné. So it's like, let's give this spot to someone who hasn't lost continuously. That's just me. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, neither of these women do a whole lot for me. So, it is what it is. The match itself was fine. I thought that they both wrestled well. I just don't care for either woman. They're both very kind of cookie cutter to me. In some respects, they're kind of very similar. Their personality wise, they're different, but they're too similar in some regards. And neither of them to me stands out. I get what you're saying about the match 2 years ago and that they probably missed the boat at that time, and they probably did, and that you can't just, let stuff, and you do need to rewarm stuff up before you actually have it. At the same time, it's Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. I understand Anna Jay, wrestled Mariah May and now has this match against Mercedes. So clearly you think at least she's worthy of these taking losses in these matches at minimum. But at the same time, it's Penelope Ford and Anna Jay. So, I mean, it is what it is. Again, for me, neither of them really moves the needle. So,
I dig both of these women. I've probably been a bigger fan of Penelope Ford than most. And Anna Jay, I think, has potential. Her biggest downside is on the mic, though. But she has definitely improved over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do to reheat these girls up, but they do deserve a chance. I will say that. But, like, let's not just throw them into the deep end. Like maybe put them in another feud with other people and see how the crowd warms up to them. Like I said, Anna Jay wins. She gets on the mic. She's like, Mercedes Moné, I know you saw me. Get out of here. So here comes Mercedes Moné, CEO. And she was like, yes, you did very, very very well in there, Anna Jay. But I'm not facing you. And so basically, Anna Jay taunts her to get in the ring. Oh, we're gonna do it. So Mariah, so many M's. Mercedes is about to take off her ring, but she's actually gonna fight. She's like, no. And so she leaves the ring. We're going to get it eventually. Not sure when we're going to get it eventually, but it'll be a fun match, like I said. But I don't see Anna Jay beating Mercedes Moné. Any thoughts on the post match? Nope. All right.
Not really.
But now it's time for the main event with C2 Classic. We have Brody King versus Claudio. If you did not have any,
I was just gonna say I thought this was match of the night.
Look. There was some great matches on AEW. I'm not even gonna confront. This was one of them. They did this last year in the C2, and I'm happy they're running it back. Of course, this is again with Claudio. He's not steak meat, but he is meaty enough for a meat champ. He's chicken meat. That's what I call Claudio, because he's that strong, and it's just an irresistible force, immovable object. I love these two. I love this match. It was very much so entertaining, going bout for bout. All in all, Claudio gets the win. I'm not mad at it. I love Brody King. That's all. Like this match, like this tournament, I'm not going to be disappointed. I have my faith. I'm not going to be disappointed of who wins this tournament. That's just me. If you want Claudio, if you want Claudio to win it, why the freak not? Because for me, he's been that dude. I love his presentation in AEW, where he's just that dude who's just gonna beat up people. And I love Death Riders, so it's like if y'all want him to win this, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm actually going to be very much so happy about that if y'all wanted to do it. But any thoughts on this main event and who you think is going to win the C2?
Well, I already said earlier who I think is going to win the C2. I think it's going to be Okada. I can't imagine it's going to be anybody else. But these two are very solid wrestlers. I enjoyed this a lot. This is what an AEW main event should be. I enjoyed this. And, for me, as a wrestling fan, over storylines and promo work for the most part, I'm real big on the in-ring activity and the wrestling itself. AEW, it's going to be very hard for AEW to take losses to WWE or WWE AEW. And again, I felt like this week, Dynamite again, even though Raw was very solid, I thought this was better. The wrestling on this show, Pac versus Jay White, was amazing. Shelton and Kyle Fletcher was amazing. This was extremely solid, and this was the match of the night. So, I have nothing but great things to say. I didn't think it was necessarily a perfect show, but it was, for me, this was an A plus or an A show this week. So,
all right, Sammy, what's your grade over the show?
I'm struggling to think of any downsides. Like a little clunky, perhaps. So instead of giving it an A plus, I'll give it an A.
Sorry to bust your bubbles, boys, but the freaking MJF, Kyle O'Reilly, and freaking Adam Cole thing is still stupid. It's cold. No one reacting to this freaking feud. For y'all to make me go through the Diamond freaking Battle Royal and it was half decent is stupid. Let this freaking go. And I get y'all are amused about how frustrating, how bad this freaking thing is. But it's bad. It's bad. When you're better than the minute of Jericho, and granted, because he was a minute, it was a little bit better. Then no, we have to rethink some stuff. And it feels like we're not going to be ending this.
But I didn't think it was bad. It was predictable, but I didn't think it was bad.
Sometimes people bad, sometimes people good. This is predictable, whatever. It's predictable, whatever. I'm not. It's for me. I don't like this on my screen, and it's like we're wasting time.
You don't like it because it's taken so long.
No, it's taking so long. And when MJF came back the first time, during Wembley, and kicked Adam Cole in the dick and said, "We're done with this." You should have just left it. You should have left it at that. MJF kicked Adam Cole in the dick, and we're done with this. But for some reason, for some reason, someone talked y'all into having this match, and then you don't have the match. You keep freaking delaying it for whatever reason, and delays are not helping your situation, bruh. They're not helping the situation. The Diamond Battle Royal has become the new Battle of the Belts, where it's like, why are we doing this? And we know old boy's gonna win. So to that, I'm trying not to be petty. There was good matches. A-. Because y'all was real on, I was already saying B+. A-. Whatever.
That still has AEW coming out as the winner this week, though.
Mm-hmm.
Very solid Raw and a very down NXT. Damien has a quick question. He wants to know why Cardona's here. He says, isn't he a TNA guy? TNA and AEW don't have a partnership. But
Cardona's not signed anywhere.
He's not signed anywhere.
Cardona says he doesn't want to sign a contract anywhere.
Yeah, he's a free agent type guy. He's just floating around doing whatever gets to be able to
if
perform.
GCW wants to book him, he'll go to GCW. TNA wants to book him, he'll go to TNA.
And I like that about him. I actually think it works for him. It does.
I feel like he's the one dude who can solidly do that, because like a lot of companies are like, well, if you don't want to sign with us, we ain't taking you. Although GCW, they only have one dude who's ever been signed. That's Nick Gage. Everybody else is freelance. He's the only signed dude.
Yeah.
And he's the only dude who will ever be signed to GCW.
And again, I'm not mad at that at all.
So this week, AEW Dynamite gets the win.
But it was close.
Mm-hmm.
But it was close.
Sammy, like the girls match took me off. It was B+.
Scan the QR code. That will take you to Linktree. From Linktree, you can get to all our social medias from one great location. These are all of our social medias. This is where we are. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. This is the right one. That's all where we are social media wise. We're also on Blue Sky, so you can check us out there. Every Sunday, or we try to every Sunday, have the Under the Square Circle, myself and Sammy Joe, competing in some sort of video game. I think it's going to be Madden. Hopefully there'll be something tomorrow. I don't know yet at this point, but we'll have to see. Then on Tuesday nights, every Tuesday, we come together for the cookout, 5:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. Next week will be week 2 of the Horsey Awards. It will be Booker of the Year, Pay-Per-View of the Year, and Match of the Year. So make sure and tune in for that as we give out the most coveted award in the internet wrestling community. It is must see. So do not miss that. Next Tuesday for sure, but every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. On Friday nights, it's Anika and Sammy Joe watching Friday Night Fights. They start at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with SmackDown, and watch through the end of Rampage, giving you their live reactions and opinions in real time. And then we're here for Winter Circle, which we've been here for today. You're with us every Saturday morning, where the three of us review Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, and give you our favorite show of the week. Then Saturday night is All Right, where we watch Collision, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight we will be watching Deadline, NXT Deadline, as well as Collision. Deadline will start at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern, and then Collision will start at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. So make sure and join us back here in just a few hours for that. You can catch the audio version of the cookout on these podcast locations, and so make sure and check in for that. If you're new to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell to be notified. It is the best way to make sure that you'll get a notification every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure and give us a follow. We appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy your Saturday, and unless you guys got something else to say, we'll hit the outro and get out of here.
Just to be clear, I was really split on Raw being an A- or a B+. I could be
Whatever.
wrong.
You said what you said.
I said B+.
You said what you said. You said what you said. Moving on.
I felt it in the moment.
Whatever.
All right. Peace.
Bye.